Alright. Live?
Woo! Got it. Welcome everybody to the Bourbon BS podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Whiskey Wednesday as I turn off my phone and put it on vibrate. We got a lot to talk about tonight as we're counting down to our year anniversary, which is going to be next week. It's going to be pretty fun. We're getting started here on episode 51. We're going to talk about negativity tonight, and then we'll talk about what we're drinking and what we're smoking, and talk about the pairing when we get into the audio.
Yes. Dustin, can you move back a little bit because, I am one of the hosts. I don't want to be cut off.
Well,
AJ looks great, by the way.
Hey, someone
guys,
else already set up the cameras, so...
Yeah, but your job is to...
Yeah, but hey, I'm already...
Alright, we're sharing it.
Yes, and...
AJ, will you share
it, AJ?
Shit?
I'll share it here in a second, and we advise you guys to share it as you tune in and come in. Please like it, and please leave us a 5-star review on here, and on the audio when it starts. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Overcast, and we have been putting it up on YouTube, people, so if you want to go watch it.
First comment on YouTube also.
Really? Was it good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes. So please share it. Please, if you want to watch it or listen to it on any other
all right.
Whatever.
You're already getting girls saying how cute you are and shit.
Me or?
Yeah, you are. No, AJ, God, no.
Me?
No offense.
Oh,
but God, no.
Sorry, guys. Jake, Steve, and I are sleeping together.
Whoa.
There's that.
What? Is that not...
You're so awesome.
I thought, exactly, that's the point. I thought that's why you guys brought me on here. Make people laugh, sing,
They're
dance
not laughing
a little.
at you. With you.
Yeah, they're
No
laughing
way.
with me. That's what he just said.
I just give up.
Whatever you want to say, buddy.
But
Alright, I'm sharing some shit.
tell us what you're drinking, what you're smoking tonight. People say, how are you? Ask a friend in the community that we're growing. All you guys have been chatting it up lately, and we love it. We've been jumping around that 1,000, right after the podcast, 1,000 viewership, and then, we've always been ramping up thus far to 2,000 in the next few days after we take the live. So thank you everyone for that. Thank you for the support. We really, really do love you guys.
Yeah. So we've got 10 people viewing right now, so I'm trying to
get all your sharing done.
Well, no, I hope everyone's doing the same. When you do a live video, everyone gets the alert, so it takes them a little bit to get started. It's the YouTube part that I need to cut off.
See, here's the thing, is we don't want people that rewatch this, that aren't tuning in right now to watch the first 2 minutes.
That's how live videos go, man.
But that's not good. It's not to be a good host, we can't do that.
Yeah, we can. We have to. Otherwise, we won't have 1,000 people.
But that's why I'm talking here. So that then the people that begin in this, when they start it, they aren't just crickets. We have had crickets, but not tonight.
We had one cricket. Yeah. Twice. The same one, probably.
This is going to be a great episode. Please, like Jake's saying,
don't lead them on like
comment.
That. Don't lead them on like that. You don't know.
I think you're doing a great job. This is going to be a fantastic podcast.
I agree.
You know how I am.
I really like when Leo and guests go into producer mode like we do.
No, I think he's excited. I like it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just messing with you.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm messing with you. You ready for the audio?
Yeah.
Give me that glass.
Let's do this.
Or one of them. I don't care.
What?
Give me it.
It's a thing he does. All right, you guys all ready?
1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone, and happy Whiskey Wednesday, episode 51. I'm Jake Sanders, along with Steve Crane, and we make up the Bourbon BS podcast. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We have our good friend AJ Kazmierczak.
Yeah,
there
we go.
So we had AJ on episode 17. I looked back into it. It was episode 17, and we had the High West Double Rye. Funny part is we were talking about basically staying positive and keeping the drive and stuff like that.
Yeah, stay hungry, stay positive.
Stay hungry, stay positive.
Yeah.
Now we have AJ back on episode 51, and we're going to be talking about negativity tonight and basically how you can overcome that and what the things are and how you can go down that path and how you get out of the hole, really. And we've talked about that. We've alluded to it on a bunch of different subjects within the last 10 episodes or so, but it's always good for us to talk about it and sit down And that's what we do here on the Bourbon BS podcast. So, yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I thought negativity would be a good one because, I don't know, we've been talking about how the fact that we've been doing different subjects, they're all kind of, I don't know, build yourself up. This is still that way, but I think it's just looking at, when you look at negativity, a lot of times it's obviously negative. It's a bad thing. You got to get out of it, you know what I mean? And AJ, if you follow him, it's on Instagram, it's at Coffee Viking.
_Coffee Viking, yeah.
_Coffee Viking. And it was kind of cool last night. It was interesting to see. I know one of them was Dustin that mentioned Jake and myself as someone. What was your question? On Instagram stories, you can ask questions and basically give a spot and people to type something.
Right. Yeah. So basically, if I remember correctly, the question that I had asked people, I was having a great day, just had a great workout, was feeling good, and I wanted to know from other people, where do you look for positivity, inspiration, motivation, and things of that sort. And I actually had multiple people come back and mention you and Jade in that sense. And I completely understand why, because, you guys get the whole concept. I mean, that's, some of the topics that you guys have been talking about. And but yeah, there was a couple people that mentioned you guys, and I don't know.
I'm curious who put me with the Christians and liberals. Do you remember that?
That was funny.
Mark Twain, someone I don't know because I'm not very smart as people who watch the podcast on the regular. Is
2 seconds.
Well
Christian Hemingway.
Yeah. No, it was.
Which I thought, it's cool to kind of see that, the diversity there.
Right. No, I just have to.
I don't know, I was flattered. I reposted it because, I know we're in similar social circles. It's probably someone that I know.
You made
absolutely.
AJ.
Yeah.
It was.
There you go.
Our good friend Eric.
Eric Goldhaber, that's fantastic.
You don't follow him on Instagram. That's fantastic.
I do.
He doesn't.
He follows him.
No.
Regardless, I think that's really cool.
If he's tuning in, I apologize. Call it back.
Done. It's fine. He'll see it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I thought it was cool, and I think that's something that even in our social circles, and I think that's why when you posted something about being positive, where do you guys see your positivity coming from and things like that, a lot of times, obviously on the flip side of that is the negativity. And so I'm interested to see where this conversation goes after we start getting into the Willet and the FSG. So I'm going to start with how your week was. Jake started a new job.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I started my new job this week. I'm selling plots at a cemetery, which is
also fitting for this topic, I think.
Which is interesting. Very, very interesting job. My second day on the job, which was yesterday, I actually had to help one of my fellow employee and the funeral director actually carry a casket into the chapel, which was very
humbling.
Different,
to
say the least. It's one of those situations that you don't really think of doing. But definitely with this job, it's going to be, I think it's good for me. It is all commission, which is interesting. That's a first for me. But
it's a draw.
Huh?
You know that it draw, the way you say it's a draw. So if you don't exceed this amount, per hour, it's a draw against that. Right?
Yeah. I still get paid hourly. It's low, but it's hourly wage. Anyways,
but it's good.
Yeah, it is good. I enjoy it. I really enjoy my boss. He's a hoot, really. And it's fun. Well, and fellow podcaster Mike McGovern he got me the job, kind of.
Well, he was your connection.
He helped me to get the job, and anyways, what I'm trying to say is it's been good so far.
Good.
Like most things, HR fucking sucks. So that's
And most really feel.
Most people know HR departments around the globe suck.
That's not like a fact. First of all, that's an opinion, but
when was the last
I
HR
will say
department?
that it is a widespread opinion.
I also, as someone that did some HR duties and also managed an HR manager in my previous career, their job sucks because employees suck. You know what I mean? It's just they have to go from the legal side of things to babysitting and also policy.
I see it as
they have a rough job. Typically, I think they do because they have to enforce things to people that don't like things. Mm-hmm. Now, on the hiring side, I can see a lot of HR managers don't, and maybe it's the way they're structured, but I think a lot of HR managers don't have the I guess, the sense of urgency that someone is going possibly without pay, trying to get hired on, but they're at their own pace. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Well, yeah, but I just don't understand, like, the last 3 jobs that I've basically applied to, each time, within the first week, there was an issue with HR.
What's your issue?
And
did you say a bad word?
no, it's not my issue, it's their issue. It's either,
not in grade
either
school.
like, lost contact, they didn't follow up with sending an email about an email that they sent, and more. I mean, how does that happen with 3 separate companies in 3 different occasions where they all, within the first week, don't send out the email that they were supposed to send out? And then I have to follow up, and if I wouldn't have said anything, then it would have never, like, I would have never got this job. And this isn't being negative, like, these are facts. They are.
Okay.
Well, you're laughing at me like...
I'm not laughing.
I liked how you turn it back around to the topic of the night, which is negativity.
Always,
well, that's what
say.
I mean, that'll be one point in tonight because people know, like, how, like, amped up I get.
Yeah.
And it's not about being negative, it's just explaining facts.
Yeah.
Like, facts are facts and truths are truths.
But you started with the HR departments or managers suck. That's not a fact, that's an opinion.
Well, the 3 that I've dealt with fucking suck. So that's a fact.
It's a fact that you have that opinion, absolutely.
Now,
All right.
I agree with your situation completely. You probably were dealt 3 bad hands in a row. Just to play devil's advocate, I have heard of HR departments that will do things similar to that and see if the person will take the initiative to send that follow-up email to see how interested they are. But don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying where you're coming from.
All right.
What was the top? Like, what was what was the email about? Getting hired? Or?
Yeah. About, like, it's normally, the 3 jobs were normally, they had to send me something to fill out so I could get the job to send it back.
Yeah, typical paperwork.
Yeah, but that happened 3 times, 3 separate jobs, and it's just like, why is this even happening? Like, why did no one... Now, if that's the case, AJ, like, I don't know about you guys, like, that's fine. Like, I'm not in the corporate world, but it's like, why test someone like that? Like, obviously,
No, I agree.
job. Like, it's just stupid. And, anyways, like, I want to get off this rap sheet because I don't want, like, I don't want to be this guy tonight. I don't
It's
want to
going to come back
like,
up.
It's going to come back up, but I don't want to be.
Right.
And we're in the first 10 minutes. Anyways, like, how was your guys' week?
I think your week was good, first of all, because you got a fucking new job.
That's right.
Like,
I said it was a good week. I'm just talking. I wanted to talk about that.
Positivity.
I agree. I'm trying to say it's a good week.
It is. I was.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
So far, what you've told me, it seems like you enjoy what you're doing right now.
You guys are making me be that guy.
I'm not. I've said 2 words
this is
this
gonna be
whole
interesting.
time.
Boys and girls, this will be an interesting one tonight. and I'm not defending Jake, but the roads do suck around here in Columbus, Ohio, and I know that he had I think the statement was he wished he could shoot someone. So there's a little bit of
I don't
aggression
mean
to the
that
road.
literally.
No, I'm not saying you're going to shoot someone. That's your mentality walking off
What
the
we're
roads here.
getting at is that you, Steve, myself are the 3 best drivers in Columbus, and
You agree
No.
with yourself?
No,
absolutely.
it's not
Dustin
that.
in that?
Dustin. Yeah, we'll throw Dustin in
It's
there.
just
It's like a
common
pity one,
sense. It's like when you're if you're merging on a ramp, on an on-ramp to
Right.
a freeway.
Zipper effect.
The cars are literally going 70 to 80 miles an hour and you want to go fucking 50 and then make the person on the freeway already stop.
Slam.
Yes.
It's never a gradual stop.
You dumbasses. Like,
They're probably all HR managers.
they probably are.
You want me to tell you what your issue is?
Stupid people.
You need to get a
Stupid people. That's my issue.
You need to get a truck because trucks are bigger than everything else, so people get out of my way.
Have you seen me drive? Steve knows we were coming from on the
We ripped up
border.
your car outside
Kevin-
of my house tonight.
Steve, we were coming away from on the border, and there was this lane that opened up, right? And I
Easton.
dropped it in first gear, and Steve was like, "Well, there's Jake's pissed."
in all fairness, and I thought that, after some margaritas that there was because he was deciding whether or not they were going to come over to the garage.
You thought it was good to feed the beast.
No, I was in my car. I was fine. I saw it happen behind me.
This was after dinner.
And I thought that maybe it was the typical, not just Jake and Alicia, but that typical, so what do you want to do? And you're at the stoplight and you have to turn left or right. His place is going right, my place is left.
Right. I don't know.
And it's it's one of those things, fuck, you don't want to do it? That's fine. We'll just go fucking home. Even though, you don't want to, no, we can go. No, you obviously don't want to. You obviously don't want to go over there.
It was not that at all.
But that's what
I know, I'm sure.
That's what you were playing.
And Liz was in the car, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. They're not coming over. They ended up coming over. So
That was a good night.
It was a good night.
It's just,
People don't know how to drive.
People can't drive.
All right, so my week so far has been good. Getting off that, my biggest frustration right now is I will say that is the smoking tent event. So we're still battling with that while we're waiting to get the appeal. So basically, for those of you that don't know, we did the smoking tent event last year. We talked about it on an earlier episode, way back, and it's frustrating because we are basically waiting on an appeal that we knew we were going to get to, and it's been about 2.5 months because we had to get the 2 rejections, one from the fire inspection, the fire marshal's office, and one from the zoning commission. We knew we were going to get those, and the next step is to appeal it, and the zoning commission supposedly will ask the fire inspector, who has told us unofficially, and off the record rather, that he will tell them that yes, they can do the event with a fire watch, and they can do it for 6 hours. So it's we know that if that's the way it goes down, we're going to be able to do the event. But now we're up against the timeline that if we don't get that approval by, I'm calling it February 1st, it's scrapped. It's scrapped until either summer or whatever. So
does this mean the surprise that you're working on is?
No, that's still happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's happening.
Very cool.
So based on what I just heard from you, it sounds like we definitely need to get a diagram behind us to follow you along with
big flow chart.
Yeah. I'm thinking that's where we need to take
a lot of
this.
yarn.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all connected.
We'll get some thumbtacks.
They're all connected.
That way he can be a social media influencer.
Done.
I made my goal sheet.
Piece
and
of
it's
cake.
the whole length of the wall. Do you get what I'm saying?
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
A dream board?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a dream board.
It's a vision board, guys. Come on.
Whatever.
Vision.
You don't have one?
Vision.
I don't have a vision board.
My goodness.
How was your week, AJ? How's the coffee business?
The coffee business is fantastic.
Did you get that warehouse in Zanesville? What's going on with that?
So still step-by-step process, looking at a couple of different real estates right now. So nothing set in stone for where we're going to plant the roasting facility. But the good news is we just delivered 8 pounds of our city roast. That's our medium roast that we do to Nocterra Brewing Company.
Where's that at?
That's kind of my little plug-in right there.
Is that here in Columbus?
So Nocterra Brewing is a new craft brewery going in Powell. It's in old downtown.
Is it by Prohibition?
Powell.
Is it on the square?
It's not on the square. It's near it. It's you know where the train tracks are?
Yeah.
So there's train tracks.
Oh, that's what they've been working on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They've been working on that for a long time.
So it's going to be a craft brewery.
Very cool.
For outdoor people, by outdoor people, tons of history.
Very cool.
Fantastic. Make sure if you guys are able to make it out, try the Baltic Porter. The Baltic Porter is the one that has 8 pounds of our coffee. They're also doing a different one. Brian.
8 pounds? Wait, and how much,
in a pint?
In a pint?
No, I'm just
kidding.
Yeah,
a single pint. No.
8 pounds and what?
The big. Do
you know how big the vat is?
No. I don't.
Come on.
I supply.
You can't come on a podcast and not have details.
Hey, I got more details for you.
That there's 8 pounds of coffee from Jenny's Java.
And I've got more details for you. For outdoor people, by outdoor people. So, you know what they did to take the outdoor to the next level?
I don't know.
They went ahead and put 15 pounds of white pine needles in a beer.
That sounds terrible.
No, it's fantastic. It tastes like Christmas.
Sounds poisonous.
No, that's the problem with Christmas ales, right? Christmas
do not.
I don't want. I can smell. I want to smell a pine tree.
Does that not sound
I don't want to taste.
No, it's fantastic.
I don't know.
This has been good, man. Good conversation.
Hey, I love it.
We're losing viewers.
Hey, we're also...
We're the only ones on. No, just kidding.
Okay, I was going to say...
If this is your first time tuning into the Bourbon MBS podcast, please like it and please share it. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Overcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Again, Twitter. Yeah, good thing. Thank you.
Good. Positivity. I got you.
Right. I don't know if that's just another fact.
We've got Joshua rushing on here, though. I want to say, so this is interesting because we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the whiskey. We're going to talk about cigar pairing, normal
whiskey's
stuff.
Fantastic.
Joshua, he said something about this last week or the week before.
What?
So we're going to have to find out more from him. But he says something about broken. I don't know. Something's broken. And then he says, more broken than my damn legs right now. So tired of my cerebral palsy being an issue for everyone. So depressed right now. I can't even enjoy a cigar, even if I had one. So, Joshua, we're going to keep you in the loop here. So hopefully you stay with us on this whole negativity thing. You can chime in. Because I don't know if you're having a rough night or a rough go right now, but we're going to see where that conversation goes. I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So keep an eye on that. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, including you, Joshua.
Yes, thank you. Rob Wilson, thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
But, okay. Anyways, so if it's your first time tuning in, we do a whiskey, we talk about a cigar, we talk about the pairing. We kind of get nerdy on it, at least I do. And then we have a life topic, which is, tonight, negativity, like we said at the very beginning. Thank you, Tinder Box at Easton, for providing the Florida Sun-Grown by Drew Estate, correct?
It is it's a collaboration from Drew Estate and Corona Cigar Company based out of Florida. So that's where we're getting this, and so we'll get into that in just a second. I'm gonna have to look it up because it's a newer one. I looked it up before, but it's a pretty detailed blend.
And then we're going to be sipping on a fan favorite of ours. We haven't done this, but we definitely have talked about this brand, Willet Distillery down in Bardstown, Kentucky. We're going to do their flagship tonight, which the glass looks like a pot still. That's why they call it the pot still. It's their flagship bourbon whiskey. We'll get into that here shortly.
And I'm going to limit everyone to 1 or 2 glasses on that because that we can't. They don't distribute it in Ohio, so I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's my last pour.
I got another bottle coming from a friend, but
yeah, definitely good stuff. Definitely a very, very unique bottle. But
it's
yes,
an amazing bottle. If you guys can see it on Facebook there in front of the microphone, it is gorgeous. It stands out on a bar.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
nothing like it.
Yeah, it's something like you would just
Nothing
like to
like it,
have
so.
just because of the bottle, which is
You guys
great
can kinda
marketing.
see it, yeah.
The glass comes from Italy, which is very unique, but we'll get into that. Thank you, Altadis USA, for providing the Romeo San Andreas. We have the Robusto tonight. We've had that a couple different times. Very good cigar. Thank you, Altadis, for being a sponsor. Thank you, BS Cigar Company, Brian and Steve. You make great cigars, and we're ready to have the BS Gold Robustos back, Steve.
Please.
We're on it.
We're ready.
Paul Palmer should have shipped us samples from this production today, so hopefully we'll get those Friday, latest Monday, and then as soon as Brian and I give him the okay, we'll go ahead and ship it. We're more focused on the 6x54 because that's part of the shipment, and then because that's the size we talked about. We've been having some issues with as far as consistency, so this is the first time that we've really taken it to the next level and really honed down on which shipments that we've enjoyed and seeing if you can track back which rollers rolled the different shipments, different productions. But
See you fire.
What?
Nothing.
Goodness.
That's not negative. It's facts.
What'd you say?
I said
See you to fire.
Jesus Christ. Oh, you'd be a great HR manager.
I know.
I was just impressed that you guys are.
I get shit done, man.
Whoever is involved with it can track it all the way back that far.
Usually, I mean, from
It's called
them.
quality control.
I was gonna say they do a good job.
Yeah, a lot of these. I mean, so we had another issue where one of our longtime customers had an issue with some cigarillos, and he sent us an email and with a picture, and he smokes 3 sleeves of these cigarillos, Hoyt de Monterey, a month, and they had an issue, and they were like, he opened up a couple of the tins, and they were all kind of just destroyed in there. So
That's a shame.
But I reached out to our rep, Jonathan Herring. And he's making it right. He asked for the production codes on the bottom because it actually tracks it back. Those are machine rolled, the little cigarillos, so they get to track it back and see if they can find out what the issue is. And you might have a bigger issue than you think. So, and he's also sending us a couple sleeves So that's 10 of these 20 packs for Dave Green. So that's excellent.
I'm glad they're keeping people accountable.
They are, and they want to. I mean, that's the whole thing. You want to keep customers happy as within reason.
That's good business, people.
I agree.
That's good business.
Sure.
Anyways, you want to drive into the whiskey now?
Yeah.
All right. So, like we said, it's going to be the Willet Pot Still Reserve Bourbon coming out of Willet Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. There's no age statement on it, but we believe it's going to be between an 8 and a 10-year bourbon, a blend. It is a small batch. It used to be widely known as a single barrel, but as of 2012, when they regained their family name Willet, they went back to the small batch. So it is sourced because most of Willet's products, they didn't start distilling until 2012. So if you've heard of their bourbon, the family estate line, their single barrels, you can find the small batch rye in some places. Those are all Willet distillates, which are very, very good. Some of their sourcing comes from Heaven Hill. Some of it comes from MGP. Their really, really old stuff can also come from Stitzel-Weller, which is unfortunately no longer in business. Those were the original Wellers, the original Pappies, stuff like that. And now that now Buffalo Trace has the rights to those. Yeah, in 1984, the name was changed to Kentucky Bourbon Distillers Limited. The land that it's on, it's actually just across the road from Heaven Hill Distillery. If you've ever been down to Bardstown, Kentucky, it's actually really beautiful when you're driving down the road in between the distilleries. And as we've talked about before, Heaven Hill was a distillery in 1996 that 7 warehouses caught on fire, and then it actually flowed down to the near river, and the river was on fire as well. Yeah.
I really want to plan a bourbon trail trip with you guys with how much knowledge all you
Absolutely.
guys have. That would be a blast.
Just takes time and money.
Yeah, we just had Paul Waller, who usually tunes in. He actually was just down at Woodford.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Woodford, and
He did a lot of stuff. He went to Buffalo Trace, Woodford.
But he's got this vision, and I'm not going to speak for him. He's got a vision for obviously he works for Altadis. He's a national sales manager. He's raised in the ranks, but he's got this whole idea where he even said on the last episode during the comments that he wants to do this. He envisions this year or next, as we grow, to do a road trip down there, do some podcasting from down there.
Just thinking about that, but I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth.
No,
by saying, let's take the Bourbon and BS podcast on the road.
We got to make that happen, Paul, please. But yes, we all love Willet, everyone in the garage, Dustin, AJ, Steve, and myself. We love Willet. I discovered it when I was 21 and I went down there on the Bourbon Trail. It's funny because we came across it. And when you come up to the gates, it does have a big gate and then a brass logo that is etched Willet. And it's probably about,
Does it have the
it doesn't have the crown and the bird.
Have you looked at the little booklet? You read this?
I haven't. Do you want to read it?
It has nothing to do with necessarily the whiskey.
It's probably history.
It's the history of the family, the origins of the bird and crown, which is what's on here. I was looking at the bottle just a minute ago, looking for it, but apparently that's, in a sense, it's a coat of arms. So I mean that's
for the family.
Yeah. So this dates back to 1674, and Edward Willet was sent to London to learn the pewter trade, and their first cousin Richard Willet was a London pewterer who received his pewter mark in London around 1660. And Richard, that's the cousin, his mark included the Willet bird, as did Edward's. And then at the time, the family coat of arms was used as an inscription on the pewterer's touch,
Yeah.
And then this continued on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but so Edward moved back from England to Maryland and practiced the trade there. And that's when they've carried this on for a long time. And then as far as the Willet name being a part of the distilling industry in Kentucky, it's been 5 generations.
Yep.
Because it says established 1936.
Yeah, and I believe Drew is actually not blood.
Okay.
He married the dog.
Married into it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
but still, I mean, it's kind of a cool thing. So when you guys are looking at this, it's not only is the bottle amazing, it's got the Willet seal that looks like bronze as well. It's just a gorgeous thing, and then you have this thing where you think they're going to talk about the whiskey, completely just about history, which is what I think when we went down there. I mean, that's definitely one of the ones I would recommend hitting up because it's it's such a cool distillery. It's such a cool place because I mean they're still rolling the barrels down like rails between rick houses and manufacturing. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Well, the first time I went down there, it was really cool because I actually got to fill a barrel, which they were much smaller just 4 years ago than they were, or 3 years ago than they are now. Like I said, again, they didn't start distilling until 2012. So they're still a young distilling company, but the name follows itself. And the name was also Willet when they were outsourcing between like Stitzelweller, Buffalo Trace, it used to be Ancient Age back then, even Heaven Hill. They were still doing the Willet name on bottles when they were doing single barrels. That's why sometimes you see like even upwards of like 27-year-old like bourbons that like people are selling on the secondary market. And these things go for astronomical amounts of money. But I've heard that the old stuff is even more delicious than what this is. But at that cost, I mean, when you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, it's just not, I don't know. But
I'll say this one, retail, as far as getting it from, where did this one come from?
Kentucky? I don't know.
No, I'm trying to remember who, Party Source. So this came from Party Source in the Kentucky.
55?
No, 40.
40? Okay,
Yeah, so
good.
the bottle I've got coming from Ryan Altadis as well. He's getting it. I think he's down in Kentucky. I forget, or maybe Pittsburgh. I forget where he's at, but $40. So
I was gonna say that's
you can't. So like we had someone that tuned in not too long ago asking where we were at. That was John Geis. Excuse me if I say that wrong. Giese. He's smoking something. He asked where this podcast is coming from. So one of the things that's interesting about this bottle, we mentioned it, is that if you're in Ohio, a lot of our viewers and listeners are kind of shared circles or circles of circles, things like that. But we are in tune with a lot of these cigar groups and bourbon groups, so it's kind of all over. If you are in a state that carries it, if you're not in Ohio, definitely pick this up if you see it, just to try. For $40, give or take, I love this.
Worth it.
And just again, something that not only is it's not a gimmick. You see this on the shelf next to everything else.
Yeah.
It's going to draw your attention, and there's a good chance when that happens, it may be bullshit, in my opinion. A lot of times, like if you overmarket something, make it that unique, you're going to be like, all right, what's inside is going to absolutely suck.
I've seen as
I
high
don't
as
think that's this the
$50,
case.
$55, but for $40, it's a steal. But yeah, but Willet makes a lot of good products, and we all love it. So I mean, getting to the tasting notes and actually how the bourbon tastes and smells, it's very rich off the bat. It's not a deep amber, but it's definitely a brown sugar kind of color.
Yeah.
Caramel. A lot of, and that's the same that follows with the notes. It's a lot of brown sugar.
It's almost an amber though, like a golden amber.
Yeah.
When you hold it up to actual, like to that light over there.
I just get a lot of brown sugars and like sweetened spices. One weird thing that I got, as we were talking at the very beginning, is like banana nut bread that I got out of it. And that's going to be my weird note for the night. On this, but
and that's Jake's weird note for the night.
Yeah, I'm going to start.
That might
talking.
be a trivia question throughout the week.
But yeah, definitely because I was thinking of like
T-shirt.
Brown sugar, banana, bread. You can't take it doesn't smell like really corny like we have had in recent weeks.
No, it doesn't.
But super sweet Willet. I mean, it just you can't go wrong with any Willet product.
So we had a comment here, from someone viewing it live. Again, if you're listening to the audio, you're on YouTube, you're watching this later. Wednesdays at 7:10, around 7 o'clock. Every Wednesday we do this. But Ryan Gast says it looks top shelf, but tastes where its retail price is. What is? I mean, do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, totally. Well, because
why? Why is it? Because again, what do you expect? So if this was $80,
that's secondary.
No, I'm saying like on the shelf, like so what the retail, like he's saying that it looks like it's top shelf, which I'm taking as it looks expensive, the way it's bottled and the presentation, but it tastes like a $40 bourbon.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it like? I'm not picking on Ryan, and if Ryan you're still on, I mean, explain it. No, I just think that's cool. I think it's a good comment to actually dive into because when we're looking at this, we talk about this episode 51. We've had 51 different bottles featured so far.
Yeah.
Ranging all across the board.
So he kind of delved into it a little more and said, guests who aren't familiar with it just simply see the bottle. Which makes sense because I've seen the bottle, not known the price, things like that. My first thought when I see this bottle is, oh man, it's probably going to be, $80, $90, like what you guys were saying. But that being said, when I were to find out that it's $40, I would buy it in a heartbeat. The other thing that I really like about the bottle, you were talking about the simplicity of it. Some bottles nowadays will give you tasting notes and smells and things like that. I love
was it High West?
Yeah, High West does that.
Yeah, the one that you brought on last time.
Don't get me wrong, High West is fantastic.
It's amazing, but that's a good example of what you're talking about.
I love exploring and things like that, and so I really enjoy the fact that it's super super simple, which then gets your curiosity rolling and forces you to pull out the tasting notes and the smelling notes from your perspective rather than reading it and then trying to find what it says.
But I guess I took it as and this is a perspective thing. I think he's saying that it looks like it's probably very expensive. Regardless, it's like where your taste, like with the taste, it tastes like a $40. It could be in any other bottle, but it's a $40 bourbon. You know what I mean? That's what it tastes like. If you were going to pay $60 retail, $80 retail, looking like this, you taste it. I'm assuming that Ryan and maybe some other people, and that's again your perspective, would be disappointed with the complexity or the flavor, or it's we've talked about it in the past. It's not hot enough. You know what I mean? It's not a 50 or 60%.
Yeah, but I mean,
which we've talked about recently.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and for those that did listen to last week and heard what I said, or heard what I didn't hear what I said. What I was talking about was I wished that the Toki would have been around that like 100 proof, or any bottle really around that 100 proof, because it's bringing out the richness and what the barrel is providing to the whiskey, because it's not watered down.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason why I said that was because I want to be able to be the one that changes it.
And that's interesting, and I get that. I guess my point is so like this tastes like something that what's the proof of this?
It's 47%.
47, so it's higher than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But it's almost like so
94.
So this is all right. So I'm going to compare this. I've been thinking about this, and while we're on the whiskey part of it, is that I get that part of it where you want to be able to back it off if you want to. My question is like when you go in, there's two or more trains of thought here. Like if you go into a restaurant and you start modifying the chef's creation, especially a higher end restaurant, and you're like, yeah, I just want this, but I don't want this on there, I don't want this. It's not an allergy thing, it's all preference. And they spent all this effort to create an all-encompassing entrees with sides and everything else, and you're like, yeah, I know it recommends that you should do this, like should I get this side or this wine with it, but I want something completely different. You do have the right to do that, you're paying for it and everything else. I'm tasting this one, I'm not trying to, like, maybe it is, I do really like this one, but for me, at 47, it's almost like they put out a product that they already did what they think should be on this one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's I'm not saying you, Jake, or Ryan, or anyone else, because it's whatever you want to do. I think that it's almost, could be perceived to like a distiller, like that's kind of a slap in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but there's also
agree.
the side when we talk about, what's the guy's name from Buffalo Trace, the gentleman that's on all the documentaries.
Oh, Jeffrey Johnson?
Jeffrey Johnson, is that it?
Yeah.
He says you can drink it any way you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah,
say,
he's
you
right.
shouldn't put, like,
he's right.
Tanya, who listens, was having drinks with some friends, and one of them said, she ordered it a certain way, like with a splash of ice or a splash of water, and the guy that she was hanging with that night was like, "Oh, obviously you don't know that you shouldn't do that in any whiskey."
See, I don't because that's my preferred way to drink.
I don't talk like that. Like,
No, I know you don't. I'm saying there's like I just think it's a good point that there are a lot of people. I don't think you do. I think
I don't talk like that.
But there's a lot of people that do get into it. And it's mostly, I think, the more educated people with whiskeys. They say you can do whatever you want to it.
Yeah.
Like you mix, Willet with Coke. I'm not going to give you any more. I've got something else you can mix with Coke. But just because I appreciate it.
You want to know my mindset behind it? It's just because I would like to taste something different. That's where it derives from.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see. I'd like to be a distiller one day. So I would. That's what I'm getting at. But I agree. Like I trust, like, obviously, like Drew and all of them at
Yeah, it's
like
just-
Willet,
it's
that this is
interesting.
what they wanted, and I do agree that you do see barrel proofs coming out more because they're influenced by their audience. Like you
I get that,
you
yeah.
produce to who buys from you.
I get that. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like Eagle Rare 17 this year, part of the Buffalo Trace A&T collection. This was the first year that a 17-year Eagle Rare came out of 101 proof. The bottle retails for like $99, which no one hardly ever finds it. You know what's going for secondary? Just because it's at 101 proof instead of 90.
I'm scared.
It's at $1,500 to $1,700.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that.
So,
I want to say also.
So we gotta find it.
but what I'm saying is that barrel proof method
Yeah.
is going forward, especially with the bourbon craze.
I want to give a shout out also to Mark, or as you call him, Mark.
Oh, he tuned in. Nice.
Yeah, so Mark,
Hey, Mark.
I shared it, and I don't know, Mark, if you're listening, anyone from Line of Duty Cigar Facebook page, I recently joined that. Mark was in, he reps them. He's a retired police officer.
He was in all weekend, man.
Fantastic
Great
guy.
dude.
Not the greatest time for us to pick up a new line, but we're definitely looking at picking up a new line.
Was it good?
Tinder Box. Yeah, it's good.
I was the only
It's good.
one that didn't get to try one.
No, he's gonna pick up a line that's not good.
No, it's good, and I like the idea behind it. So, Mark, if you're still listening, I hope I didn't. No, I'm saying I don't want to.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at AJ.
I don't want to overstep on their Facebook page because it's more like there were rules, for admin, and they were coming on it. I meant to ask them before, but I thought for the first time we're not reviewing the Line of Duty cigar, that line, but I'd like to get them on here at some point.
I heard it was great.
So we appreciate it. If anyone from the Line of Duty, if anyone from the Line of Duty Facebook page, we got 15,000 people on there. If anyone's on listening, and if the admin wants to get a hold of me, I apologize for sharing it, but I hope that you guys do enjoy it. And we'll hopefully get Mark on next time he's in town, or at least maybe do one of those Skype calls with him, or get him and I'm drawing a blank on the creator's name, but good stuff. They donate a portion of the proceeds to like 8 different charities.
Love it.
Fantastic stuff. It's all about line of duty for military, police, and fire. So
Good to hear from you, Mark.
check them out if you guys are on Facebook or if they carry at shops near you. But I enjoyed them, and I do really appreciate good people in the industry.
What do you guys get out of the whiskey tonight?
Good.
Well, I was just gonna say, this is why I love tasting whiskeys with you, is because you dive way more into the actual tastes and things like that of it, which, don't get me wrong, I love, the taste of this, it's fantastic and stuff like that, but my notes that I pull out more, he's got a book.
So we've been talking about
Love
this the
it.
last few weeks, where I actually have like the 33 bottles of whiskey or whatever, and you write down the name, the distiller, blah blah blah, orange, and when you sampled it, and you can dive in. But that's what, like, you're supposed to look at the wheel, and we talked about it last week. But if you can pick out any of those, like right off the bat, we've talked about how it's difficult to do this on a live podcast, but if you can get anything from those notes out of what you just drank, what would they be?
Definitely sweet. I think you were head on with, the whole sweetness, kind of the brown sugar. I get some honey in there.
Yeah.
But to kind of keep going with where we're at, I'm a big, mouthfeel, how is it to the nose, things like that. It's super smooth on the nose. There's no burn to it. When I take a sip, I love that when I finish, it finishes with that brown sugar and honey like what you were talking about. But then all of a sudden, as soon as you get done swallowing it, it kind of envelops the mouth. And I'm drawing a blank on what the feeling is. It might be, maybe it's the tannins.
Yeah. What, like oily?
Not oily. Daggone it. Now I gotta take another sip.
You're alright.
So any one of the almost, we got about 20-some people watching live right now. If you guys are on right now, what have you guys had Willet Pot Still Reserve? If so, throw out some notes you guys are tasting in or that you remember. Hopefully you guys have had some of this, and if not, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the tannins that envelop the tongue, envelop the roof of my mouth, and things like that. And I love that
Where it
feeling.
almost feels like numbness.
Yeah, exactly.
I call that oil.
You would call that oil?
Like it
Okay.
coats the inside of your
Yeah,
mouth.
It definitely does.
And I
Definitely
get that after I finish it, and then all of a sudden it coats my tongue.
You can see the tannins on your glass.
Yeah, and I love that.
You talking about the legs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when people say legs on a
legs.
glass, it means that the whiskey is actually, the bourbon is, or whatever it is sticking to the sides of the glass.
And the wine's the same way.
Yeah. So, and those actually technically termed is tannins.
Okay,
so
so
you're right.
basically what it gets back to for me, I love whiskey with a lot of tannins that envelop the mouth. I love dry red wines because of that exact same reason. I would pay $40 for this every single time I saw it.
I think it's
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish Steve wasn't being so stingy on.
I got
Party Source is literally 2 hours away.
I got.
How late are they open?
Not now.
But no, this book is awesome. If you guys don't have this book, I definitely recommend picking one up. I'm gonna go pick one up for myself if I don't take Jake's.
Take a look at this.
You can just, I mean, they're down there at any distillery.
So this is interesting because, and Eric Black, so there is, Eric Black who tunes in most weeks. He's not, running around with kids usually, if I believe.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Good cork pops. He says, I have not cared for the Willet Pot Still, so I don't know if he's still on, if he wants to contribute to saying what he didn't care for, or just in general he doesn't care for it. But yeah, so if you guys look at this flavor wheel, I feel like this is a good time because I really do like this whiskey.
I'm excited for Steve to dive into.
I think $40 is I don't want to say a steal. I think it's a more than fair price. But that's just me. I'm not in the realm of some of these guys out there that are buying $80, $100 bottle. But I mean, to be 47%, you said, right?
Yes.
So 47%. I mean, I think that's
94.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, I look at this as one that for $40 for being their more or less base everyday. You say flagship. I mean, I know there's lower level ones from them. Like Alicia just said something about the Pure Kentucky. I mean, they've got other stuff, but
she loves the Pure Kentucky. That stuff's good, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, Willie can't do anything wrong. They do have a really cheap one that you can only get at the distillery. It's Old Bardstown, but it's bottled in bond, which is very cool. Again, that is 100 proof and has to be 4 years of age. And there's a couple other different discrepancies about that, but that's only like $20-some at the distillery, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Eric Black says that for $40 you prefer Four Roses, which is what we have for $40.
Yeah.
That's coming up next, and then New Riff, which I think is great. McKenna's great. I think they're all great. I think this stands up to that, but
there's no bad whiskey.
No.
There's no bad.
Well, and with what you guys said, I actually responded to a comment, and then Dustin actually chimed in as well and said that's one of the wonderful things about bourbon. It's all about personal preference and taste. Everyone's taste is different.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that can be done in a manner like what we're doing here. We can all come together as a community, try it. Hey, I like it. Hey, you don't like it. Things like that, and then we can move on to the next bottle.
Not everyone's like that, but yeah.
Well,
so
I like that.
All right, so let me do this. So I've got the book in front of me, and it's interesting because everyone talks about what they do taste, and I think for me, trying to train, maybe this is a good way to train for some people. If you guys do get your hands on a flavor wheel,
Steve.
I'm not asking for your book. What I'm saying is, I can't believe this is not a T-shirt already. First of all, because there's actually wheels like this for cigars.
They are.
All right, so
and coffee.
So basically, you have this wheel, and all around it is a multiple kind of different ideas on it.
There's like 5 or 6 levels.
Well, it goes from, and that's what's so interesting about this wheel that you referred to, because I haven't really looked at this close up. Now, this is something I think that you can train yourself by almost like checking things off that you don't see or don't taste.
Yeah.
But it goes from things like, you say like dark fruit, like you mentioned before, spicy, floral. But then on the other side of the wheel, it's got legs, balance, linger, body. Like those aren't necessarily flavors. So it's very interesting how this wheel, as you go around it, what the shape may be, because it's not all necessarily related to each other just in flavor notes. It's actually all encompassing. They call it a flavor wheel, which is interesting because I think that it's actually just more of a full dissection of what you're drinking overall.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, AJ.
Tom Wilmans asked, "What book is it?" Like specifically.
It's just a miniature.
And if you're on there, Alicia, actually, if you guys are on the live feed, Alicia just shared the Amazon. You get this off of Amazon.
Nice. Thanks, babe. It is 33 glasses of whiskey, a pocket whiskey tasting journal. And you can just, it's just got a lot of cool stuff. I've got, I think like 4 or 5 in there, and I kind of stopped. But it's interesting, just as of now, I did this probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And just going back and like seeing what I had tasted and what it was like to taste that. It's kind of like one of those things where a lot of the people that are in the bourbon community have sample bottles, which Dustin and I have a lot of, but they're just like 2-ounce glass bottles that you can buy off Amazon. And basically what the point is whatever good bottles you have, the last 2 ounces, instead of just wasting it just to end the bottle, because you may not get it back if it's a store pick or something like that. And if you really, really enjoyed it, you pour the last 2 ounces in that glass bottle and you label it, and then you save it for when you get older. Like someone like me that's starting out as at 23 years old. When I turn 60 and I go back and taste this stuff, it's timeless.
And it's going to bring back those good memories.
Yeah. So it's just another way to document your
real quick
hobby.
Side note.
Just real quick though.
Yeah, real quick.
Because you had to preface that.
I am loving the fact that everyone tuning in is giving different recommendations for bourbons. Thank you guys for doing that. Please keep doing that because this is helping me slowly compile my bourbon list of stuff that I need to try.
Absolutely, yeah. But so looking at this, dark fruit, not really. I don't get that. Citrus fruit, I don't really get a whole lot of fruit from this. I don't know about you guys.
Just banana.
So, right. So
that's it, though.
But what is it? That's not dark fruit. It's not citrus fruit, is it?
Yeah, that's true.
It's banana.
That's just banana.
But you said banana.
I said banana nut bread. But the first thing that came to my mind was banana, and then I was kind of, as the whiskey sits in the glass, it airs out a little bit, and then it mellowed out because it was a very strong banana flavor, like on the back end, I thought, and then it kind of went to. And then I started thinking of this is how I dissected this whiskey night, where I tasted it.
I'll give my opinion here now.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
No, I'm fucking with you. Go ahead. I still want to.
Yeah.
I was trying to get at this, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're excited.
I get excited
Fucking
about
road
whiskey.
rage.
I love it.
That's good.
And
Road rage is just pumping through his veins.
I love it.
But look at our viewership, man.
Let me ask you. Did you
energy.
shoot someone tonight on live Facebook?
No,
Did
I
you shoot someone
didn't.
tonight?
It's
You
not
can say
documented.
you can't lie.
Metaphorically,
It can be documented on Facebook Live. Do you need to tell the public something?
I didn't do anything. Anyways.
Likely still.
except love bourbon.
So yeah, I love. Well, it's not even bourbon; it's whiskey. Steve got me into the Irish, and I'm getting into the Scotch, and I'm getting into some tequilas. But anyways, what I like about this is that, or what I was getting out of this is when I first tried it, it's instant alcohol feel because it's my first sip of the day of something that's high proof, and this is considered in Scotland almost like a barrel proof.
Is it? Cask strength?
Yes, they have cask strengths that are 45%.
Hey.
Anyways.
I'm used to the 60 sounds.
Yeah, anyways, so what I was tasting at the very beginning is obviously just pure alcohol. The second thing when I tried it, so these aren't big gulps. First was a small sip just to acclimate the palate. Second sip, that's when I started searching for things, and I was getting brown sugar. I like the honey.
Right.
I didn't get that, but as you said it, I mean brown sugar and honey are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's one of those things it's
I don't think they are. I don't think brown sugar and honey are. I think they're in the same ballpark, but they definitely get different.
Not directly.
Not in food world. Yeah.
But I think in this, I can wrap my head around brown sugar and honey. The plum and stuff that you talked about. All joking aside. It's unless there is something prominent. I really not. I know we're kind of going back and forth here. I was actually trying to compliment Jake. I think after hours.
He thinks.
Well, I know I was complimenting Jake. He wasn't taking it as such because he thought I was giving him shit about
Shocker.
First off, we were discussing business and talking about the T-shirts. So it was
Jake,
a mixed in.
Because we never go off.
Jake's crazy tasting note.
Weird.
It was about the T-shirts that we had printed.
Go on with your flavor wheel.
Well, no. Yeah, I was basically done. So.
All right. So going back to this, it's funny with these as the options. When you look at the actual flavors: woody, toffee, malty, herbal, spicy, floral, citrus fruit, dark fruit. That's the options that this gives you. So it's like when you say honey, because I do get a little bit of that honey or like brown sugar in that realm. I'm trying to look at my options on here, and I'm thinking that's probably a mix somewhere between like toffee, malty, herbal. It's gotta be like somewhere in there, like food flavors. You know what I mean? Like, so I think when you're looking at this, don't be necessarily handcuffed by all these terms on here. Like, try to relate it to something on here, because that's what it's doing. It's like, so when Jake says, you know, when I search for something, that was 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, when he's like, I searched for something. Plum, and Rob Wilson was on listening. I don't know if he's still on, but he's he already said plum.
Oh yeah, I did see that, and I was like,
so that's the dark fruit. I don't get any fruit off of it. Well, I don't get any fruit off of this, but I do. You know, as far as that goes, it's more, I guess, and that's I think what I'm looking at. And I wish they had more of a flavor wheel that's just flavors to almost, and there's some sort of, I don't want to say science behind it, but if you were to go around this in some way from one block to another, they are typically some sort of characteristic that's relatable. Yeah. So that you can actually lean it more towards the wheel as opposed to just how much balance do you give it to. But you know, I think there's some value to this. I almost am hoping for, if I taste the corn, if I taste the honey.
It was a fun night when you said it tasted like something specific, like corn tortillas or Fritos.
I said Fritos.
Yeah, like that. I mean,
and then the other one that I really
that was a proud moment for me.
Yeah,
because
like
no, I mean I've been drinking whiskey long enough. I'm talking more in your face stuff that because it's something relatable to your normal everyday palate. When you start searching for stuff like plum, it's like, you know.
You mean you don't eat plums every day like that?
It's not even that. It's not even that. This doesn't taste like the one that he said tastes like plum. I don't recall which bottle it was. It doesn't, like, if I was gonna drink it, I'd be like, oh man, this tastes like plum juice. You know, it's like, no. But when you have to say,
how often do you drink plum juice?
You'd be surprised.
We're not getting that.
So see where it says like it says like dark fruit, citrus fruit, floral, spicy, herbal, malty, toffee, woody.
Yeah.
I just, when I see those words, I try to, I look at it and is there something in there? That's when I say like searching, and that's what you're saying too.
Well, I'm saying it from the flip side of it is that you actually can look at these things and almost search for it in a sense.
Yeah.
It's like reading a review on a cigar or a whiskey. They've already done this, but I like to read those and look at it and almost on the flip side start knocking it off, like dark fruit. Take a couple sips. I'm like trying to think dark fruit. Like think dark fruit. Like
not getting it.
No dark fruit. I can't think of a dark fruit that I'm tasting right now.
So you go with the process of elimination.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm looking at this.
But what are the dark fruits that you would even have in mind when you say dark fruit? What's a dark fruit?
Plum would be one.
Now, dark fruit and stone fruit are different, correct?
I don't know what stone fruit is.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Stone fruit is like pears. Viewers, help me out.
I'm really looking at
pears
dark
are a
fruit.
stone fruit.
So when I look at darker fruit, I'm looking at it. You know, I'm thinking like either the inside or the outside is darker. Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Like you can talk about prunes. You can talk about.
Wait, someone was talking about grape. Tyler Bostic.
Dark grape.
Had mentioned Angel's Envy from the pork barrel it's aged in. He actually gets grape out of it.
I can see that.
Well, yeah. Because of the port barrel.
Yeah, you're going to get some of the grape. And that's what
well, I know. I'm not. Sorry, that was being an ass. Anyways, no, I understand. Like what? I'm sorry. I'll just shut up.
Don't. I mean, it's a
Who was that
podcast.
again?
You can't shut up on a podcast.
Not Eric. It was
Tyler.
Now I gotta find it.
You said Tyler.
Anyways,
Tyler Bostic.
That's a great. Yeah.
I guess. So I'm going back to this. Is that?
I'm sorry. We were taking so long on the whiskey.
Yeah, that's fine. Dark, because we're gonna. I mean, I don't think the cigar. I mean, we're not gonna dive into it as much. But
I know.
I guess what I'm saying is, I'm saying with this whole thing with the flavor wheel, it's a good way to search for stuff. But I guess what I'm saying is don't make yourself. And I'm not saying you did, or when people actually are giving their honest opinion, don't make shit up just to try to fill in every blank on here.
Don't try to impress people.
Well, and I'm not saying Jake has. I'm not saying some other people haven't. You know, I'm not saying that. But it's my advice to people that are trying to get into this is like, you can have a 0 on one of these categories, or someone's like, if you can also disagree with someone, like the fact that I really like this, but then Eric Black said that he doesn't care for it. It's like we're still able to have whiskey together.
Right.
And I'm telling you what, if all I had was the Willet, I don't think, but chances are you're just gonna be like, I don't like Weller Special Reserve. Fucking people love it. If that's all you have, yeah, sure, I'll have a glass, man. Let's have a drink. Let's have a drink. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna like go out if I have that or something else. Much like he said with this and a couple other bottles that are on the same price range. Everyone's got their pick. Cigars are the same way.
I see how you're trying. Like, I know this because like you're this way, Steve. Where and it's not a bad thing. I like it. Where it's like everyone. It's getting away from kind of like the fine print of being pretentious, really, and like over exaggerating things and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just like me when I said like banana nut bread, but that was just like something that I searched for.
No, I can wrap my head
But see,
around
I
it.
didn't. But I didn't say floral. Like speaking on Steve's point, where you don't have to fill in any of these notches technically.
Yeah.
Like you can, and if you look back, like I mean, there's stuff I didn't fill in.
Right.
So I mean, you're right.
Yeah, and I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm trying to look at this objectively and say you don't have to necessarily search for everything, but it's not a bad idea to kind of look at this. When you say searching for something, that's where you might be searching for a dark fruit. You might start thinking about it. And you're like, take a couple sips. You're like, you know what? I kind of do. To your point, taste plum, right? Taste something, which we don't on this one. But I'm saying you taste stuff like that. Banana nut bread is not a note.
It's specific.
That's a very specific style recipe of a ton of ingredients that then therefore tie to memories, tie to your palate memories, but also your other senses as well. So I like that because it's something that the everyday person can actually wrap their head around.
Yeah.
They're not saying like when you read like a cigar review or a whiskey review, and it's like at this point in the cigar, and they list off in this order 8 different notes, and you're like, get the fuck out of here! What are you talking about?
Hey, he's like, you went like full-blooded New Yorker right there.
Mark was in town.
I really like that. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I didn't mean any. Yeah, it's just. I don't. That's the potential side of it. You're right. Don't sound pompous. Don't just add things to a description because then because there are people that are like that with a lot of things in life, and this is not any exception. This is one that they start saying, and then people start drinking. Man, I don't get that. Maybe I'm off. Because someone that drinks a lot of whiskey, that has a huge selection in their bar and goes and drinks whiskey at all these different places around the U.S. and around the world, they say this, so man, I must be broken. No. You taste what you taste.
You're right.
This is just a guide to kind of frame your reference.
And that's what I love the most about your book is how vague the notes themselves were. They give you an idea, a path to kind of go down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I could talk about it for hours, but
I was gonna say one last thing. The whole toffee thing kept coming back up, and I kind of
I do too.
Like the toffee kind of spoke to me with
the bread.
Yeah,
and banana nut bread.
Sounds good to me.
Saving it, folks, on our Facebook Live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is a great conversation, and really, really good comments, people. Definitely Tyler with the what do you say, the grapes with the sherry, or the port and the Angel's Envy. That's good.
And then I know you guys all love this. I can't wait for one day to finally be able to taste it. Matthew Thies, I hope I'm saying that name right. Plum is a note I found in Midwinter Night's Dram.
Yes.
Which, just from hearing you guys talk about it,
Yes.
sounds like pretty dead on with everyone that would taste it.
Well, so it's one of those things, like before we get into audio, like if we take a second for our live viewers, it's one of those things where like dark fruits to me, like when Steve brought over the Boone County and Beth got that for the podcast, and that started our whole craze really, was the reason why I fell in love with that was what I was missing.
So nice.
What I was missing in like Eagle Rare.
Okay.
I think Boone County, the strength or the cast strength ones that are barrel picks, that are really sought after nowadays. I think they are a cask strength tasting Eagle Rare, even though that the mash bills are completely different.
Yeah.
Even though that they come from 2 completely different places, they have the same aesthetics about them. That like Boone County, the reason why I love it is because it tastes like dark chocolate covered raisins, And that's my big note that I get out of it. And that I look
once again, I can wrap my head around that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like those are flavors that like are you're talking about the more resounding flavors in your face and all that stuff.
But that's why I've started doing that, because I know you resonate with food, especially if it's one entity better than
food. Yeah, food or things that go into food make sense because you're not like with cigars. You don't taste barnyard. You're not eating. You shouldn't be. First of all, you should not be in a barn and eating shit in the barn.
Real
AJ.
shit.
But I grew up with a family that did a lot of, Pickaway County Fair, showing hogs.
Bunch of weird people out there, right? If your point is there's a bunch of weird people
I'm just
out there.
I'm just telling you.
You ready?
Hey, what are you saying?
I don't know.
Are you going in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's see where we're at.
Going back up, and I kind of
I do too.
like the toffee kind of spoke to me with
The bread.
Yeah,
And
Bread.
bread.
sounds good to me.
But getting into the cigar side of things, AJ, there's some more whiskey for you.
Thank you, Dustin.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, there's a shout out for Dustin.
Yeah.
This is
Dustin,
nice. I'm
appreciate you, Dustin, keeping everyone entertained in the comment section. I like what you're doing.
Dustin's going to be on next week for the 1 year anniversary because he's been a huge part of our first year here. Could not do it without him, whether he was a guest or if he was, behind the camera, commenting, whatever it is. Dustin Bovey's going to be our guest next week, and then I'll probably throw out a cigar that we're going to be smoking when I think of it later.
Personally, I'm a big Dustin Bovey fan.
No, we all know that it's weird. It's get a little awkward at times.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Justin has the whiskey for next week too.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to share that. We'll get it out there. But so going into the cigar, and before we do that, thank you to Tinder Box at Easton for supplying the cigar tonight. So Columbus, Ohio, going forward between now and the end of this week before podcast night. So our week goes Wednesday to Wednesday.
Okay.
So Tuesday night before we close, if you guys are local, stop in and grab some Florida Sun-Grown, 15% off. We got 3 sizes, Robusto, Toro, and Gordo. We'll talk about the cigar going forward, but yeah, 15% off if you're out of the area, out of the state. You guys want to try it, can't get it at your local shops. I know we're one of few shops here in town that carry it, but we'll do a 5-pack, 15% off plus shipping. So just contact me on the Tinder Box page, on the Bourbon BS page, or contact us at Tinderbox Easton here in Columbus, Ohio, 614-475-7872. Look us up, and we will get that out to you. We ship about 2 days a week. So
Nice.
Going into it, this is something that's a little bit unique, I would say. It has actual Florida grown tobacco.
Which is very unique, right?
Yeah, because U.S. tobacco, you're looking at, we have some that are in Pennsylvania, that's a little bit smaller, Pennsylvania broadleaf. Connecticut is probably the biggest cigar tobacco grown in the U.S. Today, ever, really. There's other tobacco grown mostly for cigarettes and pipe tobacco, but as far as cigar tobacco, this is Florida sun-grown tobacco, which is where the name comes from. Now, that is, from my understanding, that is just in the filler. It is a Brazilian wrapped cigar. It's a Matafina wrapped cigar.
Whoa.
That's just the type of
I like
Brazilian.
that.
That's a first.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
I don't know. I don't know if we smoked any.
Matafina?
Matafina. It's this type of Brazilian tobacco.
I was just saying, I like how it rolls off the tongue.
Sexy, right?
Yeah. Well,
That's the
I
whiskey,
think that's
AJ.
Steve's deep voice.
That's
Yeah.
the whiskey, AJ.
Yeah, we cut them off for a little while. Binder is a Honduran Habano seed, and the filler is where you get that Florida. They planted some Corojo seed in Florida and grew it. So Corona Cigar Company, great company. I think they've got an online presence as well. There's also Nicaraguan tobacco in there. So you got Brazil, Honduran, Nicaragua, and USA. So it's a 4-country blend.
That
It
makes
is
an
medium
incredibly
body,
smooth cigar.
very smooth cigar, which I think what they were going for. This one has been a good seller for us at the shop, and it smokes really well. The construction's top notch. Drew Estate is making it for them. And what do you guys think?
Why? My main question was, why was I hearing in the shop that people didn't think that this was very good?
Really?
The price.
The price?
I
mean, honestly, it's a great cigar.
Here's why.
It's a great cigar.
Here's why. And I'm going to bring it up again. It's because you
This is
have
the
a lot.
first time I'm having it.
There's a lot of people. So again, when you're smoking stuff, when I ask, what do you think of it? You're like, oh, I like this one better. I didn't ask that. You know what I mean? But people will group different cigars together based on either brand or if something comes in at the same time as something else. We had that a long time ago with the Oliva Milanio, which has done incredibly well, and then Padilla, which I love, Ernesto Padilla. He called in early on in the episodes. You know, he's got some stuff that came out the vintage at the same time. Well, we had them pretty much sitting next to each other, and it was just a comparison, which is not what you smoke cigars for.
No, didn't
if we did that,
Oleones come out at the same time as this too? About the same time?
I don't think it was the exact same time, but it was in the last several months. So,
anyways,
it's something that, you know, I look at this. It's a medium body cigar. It is more of a delicate blend as far as flavor profile. But for a lot of people, I mean, the people that are enjoying this, they're all over the board on what they typically enjoy. So I think it's, again, when you're smoking stuff like this, I'm not going to tell you why you buy it, like why you should buy something else. You want to try it, you like it, great. If you try it, you don't like it, great. But I encourage everyone, just like the whiskeys, to go ahead and smoke it objectively and throw a little subjectivity into it as far as what you like. Do you compare it to other things? Do you taste certain things? I'm not going to get into flavor notes and everything like that with a cigar.
That's your job.
That's your job.
I don't. Yeah, that's your job. I don't do it with cigars.
You should, because you have a great palate. So I just look at it as this is going to range from $13 to $16 or $17, right? Did you hear that? $13 to $16.95. The Robusto is like $13.95.
All right. Well,
okay.
I can see that.
So that's the thing.
They're 15% off.
They're 15% off. I'm not saying it's a bad price for what you're smoking.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where like I was thinking about this going into it, is that's where I'm trying to compare this. If you drink something objectively, that's where it's all subjective. I think at that point, especially for the majority of us amateurs, even though, you know, cigars the same way, self-proclaimed aficionados or enthusiasts maybe, but if you're not at that like sommelier or whatever it is for wine, and you know, you're not at that level where you've had classic training on this stuff. Sommelier. I'm saying that it's not like that. So when you smoke a cigar, you should be tasting for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so if you don't want to necessarily compare it to the price, much like that's what I was asking earlier from the question or the comment earlier about Willet being a top shelf looking whiskey, but now it's, you know, it's a retail price accuracy.
Yeah.
So it looks like a whatever dollar bottle is, you know, priceless or whatever, it looks like an heirloom bottle, but it tastes like a $40 bottle.
And it's definitely
that's tough.
Yeah, and it's definitely different when you're in a place like the Tinder Box where you have, you know, a wide variety of cigars that are there almost constantly, really.
Yeah.
And in liquor stores with bourbon anymore, they're all over the place. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you look at this Willet and you say, oh, I'd much rather have like Eagle Rare for $32. Well, it ain't there. I'm telling you that right now. It's not it, because when the store opened, they were gone.
But if that was available.
If it was available, then
fine.
yes. Yeah. But it's much like the cigar. Like you can, yeah, I mean, you know, $13.99 on Robusto size, but because the tobacco is unique and understanding what's going into it.
It's a 4-country blend. Yeah, it's the first one to have in Florida.
Good construction too. My God.
I was gonna say,
Here's my thing though, is that I know we've been talking a lot, but when I look at this stuff, we're an hour into it and we're halfway through the Robustos. So you want to talk about construction?
Yeah.
Dustin, I know, has relit, but I haven't relit a whole lot.
I relit once, but I let it burn out.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, it's one of those things where the cigar itself is, you know, it's when I talked to Steve when we first met, and before I started working in the Tinder Box, where I was, as much as I am with whiskey, I was trying to get into the cigar thing. I was trying to learn the notes and stuff like that, and obviously, like, Steve knows a lot more than me, and I was trying to understand, like, what he got out of, like, some cigars, right? And so it's interesting. What I'm getting at is it was interesting, like, listening to him that knows a lot about cigars talk about, like, just the basics of cigars. And I think when it comes down to cigars, it's about, like, the basic flavors, even though that they can be, even though that they can be complex flavors. I think when you have a cigar like this, in the construction and what you've talked about, like, your main things are, like, the I don't even think the price is one for you, Steve. It's like the construction, how it burns, if it gets bitter.
Well, you can tell it's aged tobacco typically if there's not that kind of ammonia,
I like the aroma off this.
The aroma's great. Here, so for the exercise, as we're getting into this and again, we are moving on to the topic here after this. So for those of you that are listening and want to get into it, stick around for that. It's not that long down the road, but this is something, again, cigarcoop.com. Love this website. Love the guys that do this.
Cigar Coop?
Coop, yeah. Cigars-coop.com.
Okay. Cool.
But the way he looks at this is that it started out with notes of milk chocolate, cedar, classic wood, and a slight black pepper note. I can wrap my head around that.
I can too.
However,
those are realistic.
I agree. That's that whole thing, and I think that's where I don't want to say I stop.
What were they again? I'm sorry.
Milk chocolate, cedar, classic wood, and a slight black pepper note. And again, we need to get Jake. We need to get Jake and AJ. Cedar, yeah. Do you retrohale?
No.
All right, so we need to get you.
I'm jealous that you retrohale because it looks.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what he says, and I agree with him. He says the retrohale produced an additional layer of cedar.
Milk chocolate. Man.
But then he says the chocolate notes remain primary. This is as it gets in his first third. And I now detect a unique black cherry seltzer flavor.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about. And then whiskey.
That interests me though.
I don't get it though.
That really interests me because I look at it as like a scavenger hunt almost. It's like, can I find it?
I love that.
But you're messing with you're messing with your head there. You know what I mean?
But I don't get disappointed when I can't find it. You know what I mean?
Let me just say real quick, this is, don't get me wrong, you guys are great guys, but this is part of the reason I love hanging out with you guys is because
speak for yourself.
You know way more about cigars than I do. You know way more about bourbon and whiskey than I do, and I love picking your guys' brains about different aspects, the Willet, the Florida Sun-Grown, and things like that. Whereas me, I would still consider myself new into it, even though I've been coming to the Tinder Box for far too long.
You keep busy with other things, you're well, and on top of that, you're really diving into the coffee world. Which is, again, these are all similar or related.
I agree completely.
And you always come in during the day,
which is when I'm there. You're not.
I'm not. It sucks.
Sense. Well, no, but it makes sense from his choice.
Okay.
You suck.
Come in and see me. But so
I'm always happy to see you, and I know that we get along really well. But Jake's not there.
So let me say my piece about the cigar.
All right.
Even though I know we're going to get into 7 other tangents, which again I love and I'm super thankful for. For me, with the cigar, I love all the blends. I love the color. It burns fantastically. I mean, I'm smoking it down and it hasn't started getting hot at all. When I smoke this cigar,
what do you mean by hot?
Like, you know how sometimes when you smoke cigars, when you get down to the little bit, it'll start getting hot?
Like bitter?
No, like actual
No,
heat.
like heat.
Oh, really?
Like temperature.
Like where it scorches your tongue?
Something
Got
like
it.
This doesn't do that, and I like that about it. And when I smoked this cigar, and my first initial reaction was I wanted to tell the viewers, if you have guys or girls that are friends, family, whatever, that are looking to get into smoking cigars a little bit, I highly recommend this cigar as one of the things to kind of intro them into it, because it's not super super dark or it's not super super light. It's smooth, it's even bodied, it's nothing overpowering for somebody.
No.
And I just think it's a really good smoke.
What was that face you had on there, Jake?
I went into my tasting mode, my searching mode.
I love it.
And the milk chocolate note.
You're still caught on it.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Do you get it? Yeah or nay?
Slightly. And the reason why I say that, the only reason why I say that is because I don't taste like the exact chocolatiness, but when I was as I've been smoking it, I've been thinking creamy. So when you say milk chocolate,
yeah. So now you got to smoke other cigars and look at other reviews, maybe from the same guy, and see if that's what you guys are comparing to. When you're thinking it's just interesting. And what do you say? It said cherry. So as it gets into it, a cherry seltzer aspect.
Interesting.
I don't usually drink those days.
Well, I look at that as somewhere in between that citrus. Like if you look at the same flavor wheel, citrus and dark fruit, right? So it's where does cherry fall in? I don't know. What I look at with this is that I call it more of a finesse cigar.
I'm telling you what, if you think fucking cherry, That's what your mind does. You taste cherry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
It's
fuck with your
crazy.
head. Yeah, so you read this shit. And
It's crazy.
And I think when you don't have someone actually telling you that, and that's what
Yeah,
the
right.
flavor wheel is, and I think that's the training aspect that you have been doing with the whiskeys, is that it does, I don't want to say it fucks with your head that much, but it's like you actually now are looking for other things that you may not have been looking for that aren't just coming to your palate, like just blasting through as far as like the main ones that I typically talk about with whiskeys.
Or it's much one of like those things where you, Steve, say with cigars, you look like the cigars that you like, and the way that you don't say these flavors and these notes about cigars. You look for tendencies of what you've experienced beforehand, right?
I think that's the way that, when we talk about pipe tobacco, for example, it's a big aromatic field. So when you look at that, the sense of smell is the biggest tie into memory, sensory memory, is smell. So like that's your common thing. It's like, oh man, it smells like my grandpa or my uncle or whatever growing up.
Think cherry seltzer.
All right.
When you're
I gotta
smoking it,
take
man.
that.
So my thing with this is
Crazy.
this cigar is what I consider more of a, it's like that finesse palate, right? It's not in your face of anything else. I agree with him. Like I agree with you, Jake. There's a little bit of creaminess to it. I get the cedar. I get black pepper.
Yeah.
If you retrohale, you get a little bit more of that. I think you get more of that. But as far as the wrapper leaf, and that's what I love about tobacco, is you be feeling it. There's a sheen to it.
It's soft.
It's silky.
Soft, yeah.
Very silky.
Yes.
And the construction, even though I look at the end of my cigar and I've got a couple holes, if you look at that, which normally that would affect the draw and everything, that's not doing it on this one.
I've got a couple too. Twins.
And it ash as well too. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just another construction viewpoint, really.
Right.
Like where it sits, and it actually takes shape of what the wrapper leaf looked like and how the tobacco looked like.
And when I first started, looking into it, and every now and then when I do research and stuff like that, a lot of the, like you said, self-proclaimed aficionados, experts, things like that, they say a sign of a good cigar is one that you can essentially smoke and not have to ash. You always see those pictures on Instagram where there's one, that's 5 inches tall of an ash and stuff like that.
People are super proud of that too. They're saying that's the sign of a good cigar.
Right. Well, they did a fantastic job with this.
Right,
the only
good.
time I've ashed it is when I felt, I just wanted to ash it.
Or it's gonna fall off.
Complete side note, because I feel like this happens, all the time.
Especially when you're on. Absolutely. Yeah,
Well, yeah, side note. Always, and I'll let you know, quick side note.
What is it?
Well, you say real quick.
So one of my guys that I work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go.
So one of my guys that I work with at the ski shop said.
What ski shop? Give him a shout out.
So all right, so I work at Aspen
Real
Ski
quick,
and
though.
Board. Yeah, real quick. Separate side note from the side note.
God damn it.
Aspen Ski and Board, come in. We've got the best stuff, best prices, best people.
That's because you're not there tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a fucking Riker commercial?
No, he's on.
No.
We give shout out to Jenny's Java. He works.
I
there.
appreciate that,
Yeah, man.
man.
Throw it out.
Jenny's Java.
There you go.
Oh.
So, anyways, my coworker isn't even giving me a compliment. He asked when I gave you guys a shout out on Instagram, is that the dude that works at the Tinder Box that has the world's best voice? And I think he's talking about Jake.
Clearly.
That's definitely a no.
I think you come across better on the microphone than I do.
Yeah, no.
Very natural.
Yeah, what can
Yeah,
I
you
say?
can tell Steve really tries to.
What do you guys think of the pairing? Like,
Before we get into that, sorry, I'm going to be the cigar guy again. So we
Okay.
talk about the Willet bottle a lot. We talk about, the story behind it.
Yeah.
I think the story behind this is fantastic. This guy's been in business, I don't know how long, the Corona Cigar Company, but they're a staple down in Florida. He went balls out and basically was like, you know what, I'm going to plant some Corojo seed in Florida.
you know where they're
I
located?
don't off the top of my head.
Okay.
I don't. So, but when I look at the label on this, it's a very, if you guys have their label still somewhere, or you guys
I
toss it.
save all of mine and they go in a shadow box.
I
and
love
they look
it.
awesome.
That's sweet. That's sweet. I think the colors on this are very unique, which I like because we did the same thing as if we did, like BS, purple and orange. One of the biggest things is we like the colors, the way they look together, but at the same time, you don't see anything else in the humidor that is purple and orange. You look at this, you don't see that teal on a whole lot. You really don't.
Maybe 3.
I like the simplicity of it.
Simplicity. When I look at this though, and I look at this band on there, and all you see when it's wrapped around there is that FSG, which is an elegant font, but it's tough to read in my opinion. I see the price tag on it. I'm leery. I'm leery to buy it because I'm looking at this thing and I don't know anything about it necessarily. I'm gonna ask the person working there, what is this? And I'm like, there's Florida tobacco in there. And I look at the label and it's like in the box, if you pick it up, it's covered in cellophane. You're not gonna see the elegance behind the band. You're not gonna see the kind of sheen behind it. It's not very heavily embossed, if at all. Very little embossment on there. So they went simple with it, and I look at that, and I'm like, well, that cigar better be good. And if I'm looking to try it, I will do that. But at $14 for a Robusto that has Florida tobacco, my mind, much like when you're walking down the liquor aisle, it's like if you're trying to get too cute with shit, I'm thinking I'm not gonna like it.
See, and that,
I mean that's the way I think a lot of people. That's why it doesn't sell all that well.
Yeah.
But it sells well to people that have tried it, or they're seeking it out, or they've read about it, and they can't find it a lot of places. So then they smoke it, and that's where it's like it's depending on what you're going into. You think Drew Estate, and then all of a sudden like, all right, so Drew Estate's making it. What else do they make that I like? I like the Liga, and some people like the Undercrown stuff, or they like this or that.
Yeah.
And they smoke it, and they're like, this is nothing like that. I feel misled. This is not what I was expecting. It's a totally different blend.
see, and
4 countries.
yeah,
Which Drew Estate is really well known for, in my opinion.
and they do a great job with, in my opinion. And to kind of play devil's advocate, because I love doing that, if I see something that's kind of higher priced and vague but elegant,
Yeah.
would you say this is vague? It has the name, it has the stamp.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about it, yeah.
What are you pointing at?
The Willet Pot Still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
For the audio listener.
Oh, okay. Fantastic bourbon. Very vague on the bottle, but the bottle is elegant. The wrapper on the Florida Sungrown, very vague on the wrapper, but very elegant. It has, it almost looks like a, what's the thing that all the girls love now? They get stuff all over their jacket. Is it a monogram? Or,
Say bedazzled.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's called a monogram, where it's got the first letters of the.
That is a monogram.
Okay, cool. A monogram.
Yeah,
it looks like a
yeah.
monogram. It's elegant. It has the
Absolutely.
color.
Absolutely.
I'm a big myself, kind of to a fault almost. I'm a big curiosity killed the cat. I would try that purely on the fact that it is $14 and I knew nothing about
And
it.
you're like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
I like it.
And I feel like that.
People buy for different reasons, really.
Exactly. And, there's a ton of listeners that have the same thought as you. I would hope there's at least a couple listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
That have the
People
same
buy for
thought
different
as me.
reasons, and they trust different things. So, I mean, that's why I look at it.
The way so my initial thought about the cigar, like when I first read about it and it came out, it's one of those things. It's the same thing about a whiskey, right? Like for me, I'm one of those people that if I'm in that realm, like it's the same kind of thing where when the electronic junkies, when the new iPhone comes out, they have to go get it, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing that I am with the whiskey and the cigars, where I'm so into that realm where I'm just like, I just want to try it. I don't even care if I like it or if I
No, you
don't.
want to experience it.
I want
Yeah.
to experience
Yeah, right.
it because and that's what literally our podcast is.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Is experiences and what we're talking about
Agreed.
them and how we're doing this together.
Well,
But
and another big thing to add to yours, there's a reason Willet came out with that. There's a reason Drew Estate came out with this. And it's because, you know what I mean? And
Well, I look at, so when I think about the reason that Drew Estate came out with this, because this guy, from Corona Cigar Company took a gamble. I'm going to plant a bunch of tobacco.
Just go for it.
See what and then now you have to blend around it. Now you
use
got
that as the base.
Yeah, so, as a basic filler, right? Which the filler is some of the flavor, but I don't know if there's just 1 leaf, 2 leaves, or whatever it is. But you have this in the cigar, but now you have someone like Drew Estate that has their hands on a lot of tobacco.
Can I just say something about this?
Well, let me finish.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is that when you're blending a cigar, it's different than the whiskey. Because with whiskey, you're doing mash bills and you're taking gambles, right? So there's generations of doing that. That aspect is also in cigars when you're going to the farming side of it. But when you say, hey, I got this tobacco I grew in Florida, and I want to team up with you, and I want to
One last nip.
see, and Jake just breaks the rules.
No, I just wanted to talk
Just
about the
kidding.
blend for a second.
My point is that when you do something like this, what I enjoy about this cigar is that someone took a gamble, they grew some tobacco, and then they went to people at Drew Estate and worked with their blenders and what they have available. And I can only imagine, I would think that they smoked this Florida tobacco with a broadleaf wrapper, with a Habano wrapper, with all sorts of stuff, and then with different binders, different fillers with it. And I don't know what number this was, but I refuse to believe that this was the first
one.
Yeah, like someone so they smoke a Purito of the Florida grown Corojo, and they're like, yeah, nope, guy got it.
We're good.
I got it. Yeah, give me your check and give me your tobacco. We got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have your branding already done? Yeah. Okay, cool. I got you.
There's
No, this
so
is
much
like,
time.
all right. So I gotta smoke a Purito. I'm gonna chew on the tobacco. I'm gonna get the flavors out of everything. And now, but the blenders do have ideas.
Do people chew on the tobacco?
Absolutely.
I want to do that.
No, I did that with Eric Espinosa.
You should do that with the whiskey and the rum cigars that we have in Tinder Box.
I'm literally taking, if you dissect the cigar, you pull a filler leaf out, put it into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
say
Go
one?
ahead.
No,
Say whatever.
it's interesting about you know how that one time I was talking about with certain distilleries,
Yeah.
I get this overlapping taste or aroma
Yeah.
off of whatever the product is that comes from that distillery. And Willet is one of them for me. But with this cigar, Drew Estate, like the Florida Sun-Grown, the Sun-Grown, the Maduro, the
Sun-Grown Maduro.
not the Sun-Grown Maduro,
The underground
the
Sun-Grown.
like the undercrown,
Okay, yeah.
the undercrown Sun-Grown,
Yeah.
the undercrown Maduro, Ligas. They have a rich aroma to them, and not off of the retro hill, but just sitting here and like smelling the smoke, it has a really deep, rich tone to it, and it's one of those things like where for me, I can tell when someone's smoking a Liga around me.
Oh, for sure.
See, that's
Where I get the same aroma off this Florida Sun-Grown. So, but at a lighter cigar, which is cool.
You had a little bit of sweetness to this, and I'm going to be that guy right now, but I think it's some of the guys that enjoy this in our shop. They smoke a lot of Cuban tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sweetness. I think this doesn't taste like
Rich.
It's rich, but if you add a little bit more sweetness to it, I would say, it's right up there with like that Cuban flavor. I'm not going to say Cuban-esque. I'm not encouraging people to go, hey, you like Cuban cigars, try the Florida Sun-Grown. But if you do like Cuban cigars, try the Florida Sun-Grown. It's not going to taste like what you're used to smoking, but I think you might appreciate the finesse in it.
This Willet Pot Still with the Florida Sun-Grown,
What do you think?
I took a small last nip of it
That's
just
fine.
to try to get that pairing. I think it's a great pairing. It's different because remember we were talking about the tannic and how oily the Willet is.
Right.
When you're smoking the Florida Sun-Grown, it is rich as it is and as creamy as it is for being a medium body. The Willet just overpowers your mouth. And I think it's good initially,
Okay.
but the flavor of the cigar dissipates directly.
Sure.
It's non-existent.
Right.
If I had to guess, and this is kind of oddly thinking because of the proof, but remember Noah's Mill?
Yes.
From Willet?
Yeah.
If you had a glass of Noah's Mill, and we need to have you try that, AJ,
I would
sometime.
love to.
Noah's Mill is another Willet product, but it's a blend. Anyways, if you had a small glass of that and added 2 caps of water to it, because it's 116, 118 proof, that would be like a flavor bomb
Yeah, it's something
with
to
this
try.
cigar.
Something to
So,
try.
yeah,
See,
it's an idea.
And with that, with the pairing that we chose, I like the route that you guys decided to go because I found the Willet Pot Still to be incredibly, incredibly smooth, have its own flavors, but
Yeah.
nothing be overpowering. And I get the exact same thing with the cigar.
There's a complimentary factor to it.
Yeah, they complement each other rather than one extreme or the other.
That's right.
And so nice job, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Glad you liked it. Thank you for being on. What was, I know we just said it a little bit ago, but what's your coffee brand?
Okay, so
A little bit of background.
yeah,
for,
we'll just
AJ.
we'll do it real quick, Steve.
Go ahead.
No reaction.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Share.
I'm not listening.
So I
Go ahead.
so I co-own and run the social media and marketing aspect for Jennings Java Coffee Roasters. It's born from a college dorm room. A guy that I met in college, we went to this thing called the Ignition Program set up by a professor named Gary Golden. This is at Muskingum University where I graduated from. And
Yes.
And so basically this Ignition program you come to for one of two reasons. Either you have an entrepreneurial idea, you're not exactly sure how to make it happen, or you feel like you have the tools to help someone make their entrepreneurial idea happen. I went, I said my piece, I'm good with talking to people, I like, being in front of people, social media, things like that. And Daniel is my co-owner. He's the founder of Jennings Java.
He is fun.
Yeah.
I met him.
Yeah,
first time,
yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
And he, when he got up and said his piece, everything was super raw. Nothing was rehearsed. But there's very few people you meet that are born to do something. And Daniel was born to do something very high up in the coffee industry.
Yeah.
So as soon as he got done, I thought to myself, I have to get into business with this guy. I know for a fact what he's doing is going to be successful.
Why coffee?
Why coffee? So the backstory for him, why coffee? Me, I choose coffee because I love coffee. And obviously, hearing him speak, I wanted to get into it with him. He tells the story the same way. It's hilarious. The first coffee he ever had was his dad let him try a sip when he was super, super young. Ironically, he ended up spitting the coffee all over his dad's suit, and his dad
Hated it.
he
Or what?
he wasn't expecting it. It was a new flavor. He wasn't used to anything like that, so he spit it out. Well, fast forward to high school years, he starts traveling around to the up-and-coming coffee industry in Columbus. And from there...
I didn't know there was an industry.
There is. And it's awesome because there's smaller roasters that continue to pop up. Kind of like the Bourbon Trail,
Craft brew.
Yeah,
same thing.
everything is starting to pop up, and we're entering into the third wave movement, which is people are caring about where their stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
How it's being
Authenticity.
made. Authenticity.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah. And I think you can agree that the bourbon industry is kind of the same way. People want to know what's going on with it. People want to know what's in their cigars now, things like that. And
you know what I love about it is the fact that, how old are you, AJ?
24.
24. I'm 23. And we're talking about authenticity, people.
Yeah.
It's hilarious if you really think about it.
Right,
You know
because
what I mean?
this is a topic that people in their stereotypically in their 40s, 50s, and 60s talk about.
Yeah.
And we are prime examples of the third wave movement.
We're going back to the time before we were even born.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so, not to stray too far, Daniel and I founded the company. Daniel's a great guy. Here, plug at Daniel Jennings, at Jennings Java. Check us out. We built the company on three things: fresh as possible. So nothing. Basically, if someone puts in an order, we then will roast the coffee. It goes through a 24-hour degassing period, and we'll package it and have it to you within 3 to 5 days of it being roasted.
Wow.
So as fresh as possible. We even have to put one-way CO2 valves on the bags because coffee is constantly releasing CO2 the fresher it is.
Interesting.
Kind of a little plug for people that like coffee. Look for that small circular CO2 valve. It's a sign of freshness. Sign of freshness then directly corresponds with quality, taste, things like that.
Very cool.
So freshness is the first aspect. High quality is the next, which is, we're very particular about who we source from, how we go about doing it, what outlets we use and things like that. And then the third, and what I would say is our most biggest, is the enthusiasm for the education behind it.
Right.
And because we've found that the more educated you are on a subject, the more likely you are to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things. And so, you know, if someone is a diehard, black as night, get it as dark as possible coffee drinker, but we educate them on the fact that our early bird is our light roast. It's from region in Guatemala. It has kind of light, fruity and floral notes, you know, got some of the cherry sweetness, some of the honey sweetness, things like that. That now dark coffee drinker will at least try it. And if he tries it, who knows, maybe he'll love it and then he'll dive into more lighter coffees. Or even if it's not his thing, all of a sudden his mind is thinking, you know, but Aunt Susie or Uncle Tim or, you know, Rebecca or whoever might like this, and then all of a sudden, you know, they buy a bag for them, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, is educate people so that they stick with the high quality coffee industry.
I seriously need to have you guys, like, or you or your partner, like, make me a cup of coffee, because I've yet to have one, or Dustin, because he's bought from you. Make me a cup of coffee, because I have tried to like, and now I've heard that, like, I haven't had good coffee, right? Like, I've posted about it, and, like, people are like, oh, you haven't had good coffee.
Right.
No,
and I'm like,
coffee.
I've had
Coffee tastes like coffee.
Yeah, no, totally
like,
fair.
Yeah.
But the dorky side of me that gets into the flavors of, like, the cigars and the whiskey and stuff, when you start talking about, like, these notes of the coffee, I'm like, I want to taste that. Like, that's where I get when it's one of those things where I don't, you know, we were talking about the flavor wheel earlier.
Right, and we have that for coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to experience that. And if I don't get it, I'm not going to beat myself up.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to experience that because I know that you get so excited about it. I want to support you, and we want to support you and your guys' business.
And I greatly appreciate
and
that.
I want to be like, okay, well, I get behind it because I tasted it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm tired about with coffee is that people talk about flavor all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look at the same thing with whiskey. Like, we had a comment a while back, question for Jake, I know, and for everyone on the podcast that night, I forget who our guest was, but would you drink whiskey if it was non-alcoholic?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something to think about. So
I would, but not at the price point.
You got some background. I'm giving you the signal. No, don't. All right. Now it's in your mouth.
You guys said you choose.
No, but, like,
You're freaking me out, man.
What I'm saying is that at the level of coffee that you're referring to, that I get. You know, if you like the flavor. When I was at the holidays over at my mom's, and she has to keep decaf, she was going to brew a cup of coffee.
Your mom?
My mom. I was at my mom's,
and New Yorker.
No, it's actually, mom is also Chicago, so fuck off.
Wow. Yes.
Did I offend you?
Nope.
But she had decaf because the bridge ladies can't drink caffeinated coffee, so she had a bag of
Bridge ladies.
The bridge.
The
ladies.
bridge.
It's a game.
Oh.
It's a card game.
Interesting.
Heard of it, never played it.
You're not an older lady. But point being is that, you know, I said no thank you to the coffee because I wanted the caffeine side of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I enjoy drinking whiskey. I do enjoy the fact that, you know, when you're drinking among friends, it opens up conversation. It does have that level of, just like cigars have some nicotine, there is a byproduct there that sometimes you start drinking whiskey because you get drunk. You know what I mean? You like the flavor, and I'm not a beer guy. Like I pictured Jake in college that the reason that he started drinking, what was your whiskey go to in college?
Jim Beam Black.
Jim Beam Black. So it's like, you know, now you do it, and it's like that wouldn't necessarily be his choice at the grocery store.
Still great choice.
Great choice. But my point being is that you develop, as you go, you grow your palate, right? You know what I mean? So with coffee, for that, I don't necessarily, if I'm just drinking every day in the morning, mm-hmm. I'm going to drink a more everyday priced coffee.
Do you drink coffee black?
I do drink. When I drink coffee, it's coffee black.
Really?
Now, I don't drink coffee as much because of the supplements that I take that have a lot of caffeine, so
right.
I don't need that anymore. So, you know, I enjoy it when I do, but I love coffee because I like the flavor, and it's an acquired taste. Mm-hmm. When I first started drinking it, I was that person that I drank it with cream and sugar because I couldn't stomach it by itself. You know, I'm talking like at the moving company, and it was like, you know, whatever, Maxwell House, and it was, you know, an hour long. No, I mean, I'll still drink Maxwell House if it's a fresh pot. I'll do that. I mean, it's much like Bud Light, Miller Lite. It's like they have it fucking figured out. It's a good tasting coffee, but it's not necessarily going to be the highest level of it. But it's not bad. It gets a bad name, in my opinion, because they are mass produced, and much like whiskeys, much like cigars. We talk about it in every industry. It's very relatable. But I will say that I do enjoy the caffeine side of it. I like the rush after a good cup of coffee, whether it's strong or not. But I mean, even your darker roast that aren't as strong as like the early bird, it's something that not yet. I want it to be where it's like I do actually get a little bit of a jolt from it.
And so with that, I would steer you more towards finding a lighter roast that you like.
But I like the flavor of the darker roast too.
Right, and that's got to be catch-22. Yeah,
it's still got some in there.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not looking for like I'm shotgunning a Red Bull on top of a 5-hour energy. I'm not looking for that.
Oh, that's fun. I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, Jenny's Java will share his profile and his company.
Thank you. Yes, thank
As
you.
we did last time, yeah.
And going back to our initial statement, I had completely forgot. My aunt had texted me, actually jogged my memory. So 8 pounds of city roast to Nocterra Brewing that is brewing up a Baltic porter with kind of coffee undertones. We're also now going to be the primary sourcer to Joy House Coffee in Circleville.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we sealed that too. So that
They can buy online.
Yes, absolutely. You can buy online.
Put you on the spot.
Okay, so definitely go to jenningsjava.com. If you're not completely sold by what we've said earlier, we have a short video right on the home screen. You'll actually get to see our college. We're walking around our college. We're talking about our coffee, what we're trying to do. Try it. I promise you guys, you won't be disappointed.
You guys have it set up e-commerce?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Dustin really likes it.
Do you have, and I'm going to put you on the spot,
Okay.
as a second time guest, do you have the ability to, if they contact you, can you give them a discount?
Yeah, we can definitely figure it out. No. We absolutely
This is my
can.
challenge, not challenge, a request. So if you listen all through, and this is what I want to do, is we have guests that own businesses and stuff like that, is if you're listening right now to this side of the podcast, we're not going to promote it, but if you are listening right now, mid, we're an hour and 40 minutes into it, if they contact you or James Java through social media, and they contact you, I heard you on the Bourbon and BS podcast, can you give them 10% off?
Absolutely. So right now, we'll do the same thing you guys are doing with the 1 week thing, Wednesday to Wednesday. We're doing
Mind blown.
We're doing it right
Mind
now.
blown, people.
I was going to ask.
Wow.
I feel like 10's good.
No. All right. I'll tell you what. Right now, if you contact me directly at _coffee Viking on Instagram or any of our Jennings Java social media, which is
I did tag you on this for Facebook, so they can contact you there too.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
At Jennings Java.
Yep.
Contact us directly between now and next Wednesday. Mention that you listen to this on Bourbon and BS podcast or Sauce.
You ship.
I will make sure that you get 15% off of your order.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
So, and then you guys ship, right? You'll ship
Absolutely.
That. Yeah. So anyone listening anywhere over the U.S., kind of the U.S., we're not going overseas at this point.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Kinda
one of the
US.
coolest things about, that's one of the things that make us feel good is we've recently been getting some orders in California.
Yeah.
We've shipped to military bases before.
Amazing.
Obviously Ohio's easy. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
15% off now to next Wednesday.
Bourbon and BS podcast, mention it when you contact Jenny Java, AJ, Facebook or Instagram.
Yes.
Perfect. We're saving everyone. Normally Jake says that, and I realize not being on there. So we're gonna segue into the topic. And
So did you turn audio off?
yeah, but they're still
but
watching.
they can still hear us?
That's right.
In case you guys are still watching,
They are watching.
those of you
if they're listening to you, they're still watching.
Okay. Well, those of you that are watching, I'm smoking this Florida Sun-Grown down to about 1 inch, and the only reason I'm going to stop smoking it is because my fingers are getting in the way.
You're the ultimate promoter.
It's a good cigar. Let me explain this. I will only go out of my way to promote stuff that I personally feel are high quality.
Right. That's why I don't drink coffee, but it's hard for me to say.
Very fair.
Hey, it's amazing. Never had it.
Right.
I want to make
Well,
the city roast. I think the city roast.
That's
is
good
great.
too.
Yeah, and it's a great starting point.
And I have Buffalo Trace bourbon cream to go with it.
I'm not
That'd
gonna
be
tell
good.
you not to do that, but I would like you to make me
Or the
glass of that
Boone
too.
Well, then,
Boone County Bourbon Cream,
we'll
man.
seal up another 7-pound bag and
There, hey, we can get it going.
Ready for it, man.
All right, ready?
So, getting into the topic, being at an hour and 40 minutes, thinking about negativity, last time again we had AJ on, was episode 17, and we talked about, keeping the drives,
It was staying hungry,
Staying hungry.
staying hungry and staying positive.
staying hungry, staying positive. Now we're talking about negativity. Now, that doesn't mean that this next hour and probably 30 minutes is going to be all about negativity.
It actually will be about negativity.
Well, it is,
How to
but it's,
deal with it.
Yeah, it's like how to deal with it. What I'm talking about is in a negative tone, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Where it's like
We'll see where it goes.
We're just like bitching and stuff like that.
Jake dealing with drivers.
Drivers,
So,
HR. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, I think negativity can almost be a disease-like thing where it can consume people in a way that that's the only way that they feel. When they go to bed, they're negative. When they wake up, they're negative. When they're having lunch, even if it's a good lunch or meal or whatever, even if they're enjoying themselves, they're thinking about what's next, right?
They'll find something.
They'll
wrong with
find something wrong with it. It's the classic, if you ever seen Talladega Nights, the dad, where he flips out on the waitress because he ordered onions specifically, and then she brings it out, and everything was perfect, and he says, I didn't order any onions, and he screws up the dinner. People do that on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
And I think, I've done that. I know that we've all done that.
You've ordered onions at Applebee's?
No, I'm saying I've been there where I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying the situation, time with friends and everything, with family. And I'm literally thinking about fucking Monday. Or I'm literally thinking about the next day at work. Or I'm literally thinking about the next thing that I'm stressing about.
Or while you're having a good time with your friends, you're thinking, now what could go wrong?
Right, exactly. And yes, exactly. And I got to that point where I was enjoying myself and I'd think about, well, this can't last very long, right?
Jesus.
And I think people get to that point when things, catastrophically go wrong. And that's fine. It's about life, and it's like that old Rocky saying where, it's not about the times that you get hit, it's about getting hit and getting back
How
up.
hard to get hit. But,
And I think,
Great
we've talked about my personal stance on that within the last 6 months, and enough about that soapbox, because I'm happy now. I got the new job, I enjoy it, everything like that, and that's the way you turn it around. You actually put your foot down, and normally, unfortunately, it comes with it has to be done with a force, right? It has to be done with, with yourself combating the negative outlook on life, really. And I think as we're talking about negativity, I think it's very, very important to understand when we talked about the toxic relationships and we talked about building new goals and understanding the new year or whatever.
Right.
And now we're talking about negativity. If you listen to all these different podcasts within this first year of 2019, they all encompass each other and they are layered on top of each other. So, I think it's important for you to go back, if you haven't listened before now, to go back and listen to everything, because it's all cascading on top of each other. And with that being said, as we're talking about negativity, we need to think about what causes people negativity in their life, and why. The question is, why do people fall into, I think it's good to have a positive outlook on the subject, but first starting this conversation, why do you guys think people fall into what you would call a black hole?
Well, hang on. That's a great intro to the subject, but
Very well said.
Very well said. But before we dive into that, because based on what you just said, on top of that was that you don't want it to be this negativity, just the bad side of it.
Yeah.
I looked at this, so again, sometimes I contribute the topic part of it when Jake and I are just up against the wall. We don't know what. We did have a fall through guest this evening. AJ was logical Philip. And that's lightly said, because it's not the fact that we didn't want AJ to be on again. It was the fact that this is how it lined up. So Jake and I worked together on Tuesday nights, and then we talked about it. We had Nate Hale, who will be on it again in a couple weeks, and he's got this Masterson's Rye, which he's literally collecting dust on this bottle because he's been holding on to this for a while, right? So, but he ended up having to work for someone tonight, wasn't able to make it. AJ, I'm telling you, the way my mind worked was the fact that you posted those things last night about the positivity, and I was included in a couple of those, and Jake was included in a couple of those, and it was one of those things where I'm just like, you know what, let me reach out to AJ, see what's going on. And on that note, you're such a positive guy. You're just go. You're just always,
really are.
Yeah, which is, to some people you're
and
like,
that means a lot to me.
Yeah, but a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there, that'll be like, fuck this guy. Like he's obviously covering up for something that, he's just covering up for he's putting it on social media. But I know you well enough that that's not the case. So the last time you were on, it was this staying hungry, staying positive,
right,
which you were illogical. When we had you on, it's like, what can AJ talk about?
And I greatly appreciate that.
So wait. When I look at what Jake said, no, because I had an idea when I came with it.
You need a booklet, man.
No, I'm good. I want to let you get that out because I think it frames a good part of the conversation. So I want to get my 2 cents out and frame the conversation before we get into it. Take what Jake said, and everyone listening in takes what Jake says. I look at it as there are a lot of times where I say fuck negativity. It's garbage. So when I have the mindset of AJ, right, and I do look at you to answer your question. I didn't want to give you credit on your own Instagram account, so I didn't put that on you. But you were in one of those favorite faces. The way I answered that was when you seek the positivity and everything else. It's the favorite faces. There's new and strange faces. I forget how I said it, and then also the mirror. That's how I answered that.
So yeah. So
what did I say there?
So you said, where's it at? So you said. Where's that?
Dropping the ball, man.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find it. It'll take me 2 seconds.
I'm saying this because I reshared this topic time, so we have a lot of new viewers out there.
You got it? Okay,
Yeah,
so you said so many people every day, really. Some favorite faces, new or random, and the mirror.
Yeah, so you look for positivity everywhere, but I look at negativity as, and this is what I wanted to contribute to framing the conversation, Jake, is that... No, because you had a great point. I'm saying the other side of it is before you go into why are you, where do you find that negativity? Yeah. It's also, I want to frame it because you did say that, is that negativity is not always a bad thing to you. If you're rolling through the day and you see people that are being negative, if you have that negativity surrounding you and you're in a good place, it'll upset you. Sometimes it'll drive you. Sometimes it'll bring you down. There are times where you're in a negative place and that's your new fuel for moving forward. And there's also the side where it's like people get in that quicksand of negativity, and that's what I think you were referring to. So I kind of want to look at at least 3 different aspects of negativity as we talk about it, because I don't want to just pump it up and talk about positivity. I think negativity is actually a valuable asset that a lot of people don't. And I know I don't at different stages of my life. We talk about toxic relationships. I look at the fact that the negativity sometimes will consume you, sometimes it will drive you, and then there's outside negativity that will absolutely try to beat you down, and now all of a sudden you either have new challenges in front of you, or you have that opportunity to absorb that and get in that bad mood and say, God, fuck, I came to work in this great mood, and fucking everyone around me is in a bad mood. Everyone's negative, so fuck it, I'll just do it too. Fuck these guys, fuck the, people around me. I don't want to be happy all the time, and no one's appreciating it, so I'm just gonna turtle up and just say, I'm gonna get through the day, I'm gonna go to happy hour after this, and I can't wait for 5 o'clock, or I can't wait for whatever, X o'clock.
I get it.
So there's a lot of different aspects.
See, and this right here is exactly why I love being around you guys. I love when you guys invite me on the podcast. I can't thank you enough, because not only are we getting stuff out of it for ourselves, but hopefully our viewers are able to take away something too, because we have 3 drastically different perspectives.
Right.
My perspective on it is you need to avoid negativity at all costs.
Explain that. So avoid it how? Because I want to say Leo did chime in here. he was our guest last week. Depression becomes motivation for some.
Oh, and that's very
I think that's what,
yeah, and that's very fair. You know, for me, I am all about avoid negativity. You know, don't surround yourself by it. Don't get mixed in with it. Don't, you know, me personally, you know, this is a topic for a different time, but me personally, I like to believe in, you know, power of positivity, law of attraction, all of that stuff. So I'm even hesitant talking about just discussing
perfect
negativity.
Perfect.
And so that's
answer Jake's question about like when you actually get negative.
So have you ever, just frame it, like have you ever dove down a rabbit hole and found yourself like trying to get out?
Yeah, has Mr. Drive, Mr. Coffee is perfect for you because you embody that, you know what I mean? Like you
caffeine.
Yeah, like you're either like drinking a lot of coffee or
Yeah.
cocaine, which I don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
coffee.
The latter.
They're related.
100%
But I understand science. I think they're related. But my point is that yeah. But no, you're Mr. Positivity. You're Mr. Drive. Anyone that knows you, everyone that follows you on social media,
You really are.
And
I greatly appreciate
it. It is infectious, and it's something that is not wired into most people, which I love.
I wish I could be around you all the time.
So again, that's the infection. Don't touch them like that.
Yeah, that's
but
weird.
but that's a great question for someone, Mr. Positivity. So I'm not like, don't give us your soapbox speech, but let's talk. Let's talk.
Seriously.
So yeah, let's, you know, I mean, it's easy for
Real quick.
Yeah.
Side note.
No, this is a main note. This is
Go
a
ahead.
main point.
Lay it out.
Noted.
So, you know, let's get rid of the whole facade. You know, you can't be positive and have drive and have desire 24/7, 7 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year.
Correct.
It doesn't happen. No one is able to do that. But what I feel I do is I have tried to train myself and train my brain to recognize those negative times. You know, people complaining at work,
Yep.
or getting stuck in traffic. It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
So where does your brain go
when that
happens?
And follow-up question: when was the last time you were in that rabbit hole?
Oh, okay.
Answer him.
So I got to think about the rabbit hole. My brain, when I'm in those situations, let's go with Jennings Java, with coffee industry and things like that. My brain, I feel I have trained it and wired it. When I get down the rabbit hole, I don't want to get up at 6 a.m. to go work out. You know, I don't want to drive a half hour to work in traffic and come home a half hour to work in traffic. All of those are very relevant. You know, it happens every day, but what I try to do is I try to overpower that rabbit hole and just completely submerge myself in positivity, motivation, things like that.
Okay.
No one I follow on Instagram is negative, or no one I follow on Instagram is a negative person 100% of the time. You know, they're driven people that also may fall into a rabbit hole sometime.
Yeah.
Facebook is the exact same way. You know, all of my podcasts that I listen to religiously are all about drive and motivation and positivity and things like that. And so what I try to do is when I dive into that rabbit hole, when things get bad, when they look bleak, how are we going to figure this stuff out? How am I personally going to get through this? I turn to all of those aspects.
So you look for inspiration from others, outside forces.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know,
reminders.
you take on the persona of those you surround yourself by. So if
You
my
fool yourself. Honestly, I think that sometimes, like when you're in that mode, you're in that you're starting to. For you, there's some of us that, and myself included, that you actually, I do get in rabbit holes with that shit. But like for you, it's like as soon as you see it, like you see the warning signs, all of a sudden you're like, all right, now I gotta fool the brain, and I have to like get on social media. I have to surround myself, tune into a podcast that you know that motivates you on a good day. Now you're gonna listen to it, and I'm not gonna like tune it out because I'm not gonna be that person like, you know, fuck it, I don't want to listen to this today. You know what I mean? You actually like force yourself.
People can't always just like get away from it though.
You can't, but I'm saying this is a good technique. You actually do have, that's like a meditation style.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I know, it's perfect.
And like I said initially, I love all four of us getting together because of the fact that we have drastically different outlooks and we can all talk like gentlemen to an extent.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
That's what thank you. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for.
That's
but,
a lot,
but yeah, but no, when I get down and I've trained my brain, and it's not easy. Everyone goes through rabbit holes. It's a fact of life.
You're still in college, right?
No, I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're the same age, yeah?
24, 23.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, we've all been in those we can go to rabbit holes. College. I went into college as an environmental engineer.
Okay.
I took a bio class, I took a chem class, we were talking about the small things and the cells and what makes this up and that up, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this.
You don't want,
Yeah, I was like, this is not for me, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, I was like, what is the next step? You go back to your dorm room, or at least I went back to my dorm room, and I'm laying in bed, I'm sleeping too long, I'm taking too many naps, I'm not studying and doing my homework as I'm supposed to.
You're procrastinating every step of your day.
Everything.
College is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Well, it can be, but I mean, like,
nowadays,
college is wasted. Like a lot of things, like it's like wasted on the youth, right? You know what I mean? Like if you knew what you wanted to do and you actually went to school now,
right?
Jesus Christ! Like if you had that drive, like,
right,
that's money well spent.
Yes. So I'm in there and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Blah blah blah, and I had to go to the business building for something. Could have been financial student loans that I'm still paying off.
Probably the restaurant.
Yeah, it was more than likely the
restaurant. You couldn't make it.
But But I ended up talking with somebody and they were like, just come take one of my classes. And that was my first business class. Fast forward, now, fortunately, I graduated with a double major in business management and marketing.
Very good. Why do you say that unfortunately? You say unfortunately?
No, I said fortunately.
Oh, God, I thought you said unfortunately.
No,
I was like,
fortunately.
What the fuck?
Unfortunately is my student loans that I'm paying back. Unfortunately is my student loans I'm paying back.
I'm shaking my head, people.
But,
people,
sticking with the negative topic, some people will dwell on that.
Absolutely.
Some people will dwell on the fact, I've got a credit card payment, I've got a student loan payment, I've got a car payment, I've got a house payment or an apartment rent that's due. And some people dwell on that. You have to train your mind to, all right, cool. The gist of all of this is let's go make money. And that's easier said than done because of the fact that I would like to think trying to do that for a couple of years.
Yeah. So you're talking in an entrepreneur aspect. It's not.
No. I mean, yes and no. Yes.
Or get a good job and pay. Make
yes.
money.
Well, we got to remember too. I'm working 3 different jobs.
I know.
And so, with what we were saying is my biggest take on negativity is don't fall into the trap. Everyone goes down a rabbit hole. Do not succumb to the rabbit hole. Do not essentially let yourself become the rabbit hole. Find those outlets. Find the people that are positive or driven or motivational and just surround yourself by them. You with your mantra of focus.
Right.
You with, yes, you got knocked down.
Pause, man.
No, there was no pause.
Actually, you know what mantra he had that he's given up on is win the day.
I have.
You know what his Instagram?
Yeah.
It's still Jake win the day, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time he said that?
Get back.
Wow.
To that. Right. Get back to that. But you with the whole getting turned down on multiple jobs, but you kept moving forward, and you may not have realized it, but me as a third party, I saw the fact. You could have given up and, been a bum in Columbus and, everything would have been a dark and gloomy day. But you never succumbed to that. And I'm sure at that time you weren't focused on that. You were focused on, well, what am I going to do next?
Well, the thing about me is the fact that, and I said that along that lines of the first like 10 episodes, where actually it was exactly what we were fucking talking about the last episode that we had you on, AJ, where we were talking about the traffic light.
Yeah.
Where,
Oh, that was a good conversation.
Where it's like green, yellow, red,
Yeah.
and not, I mean, obviously if it's like, I'm not talking about like actual traffic, but theoretically talking about it, I'm gonna go through the brick wall regardless. And I think when I talk, especially at the beginning of this podcast,
Right.
it's not that and it's one of those things where in my head I think about it, it's like, yeah, that like may have came off negative, but I can't think about that, right? And I think when people succumb to a dark hole, they get into a dark hole, that they don't have the ways that you did it, AJ, where you completely eliminate negativity around you. And I've been around people that do that. And that's great, but that doesn't serve to everyone. And I think if you're someone like myself, you discover that it's not necessarily a negative outlook. It can be, but not all the time. And when it's not, it's more of a realistic output. Where at the beginning of this podcast, that's why I was saying when we were laughing and joking, I was saying, no, this is facts and this is truths, instead of being negative. Like you could say that, like it's not being negative if you know someone like fucking sucks at driving, or he like, or
when you say suck, that is an opinion.
Well, so what do I say then?
No, I get what I understand what you're saying.
That you like
That they-
get speeding tickets, you got arrested, like what? Like
Well,
how do you
I'm
you
sorry,
talk about?
when you're talking about like the bad traffic, they just don't use signals. They're super hesitant. They are causing accidents, or they will cause an accident because they aren't driving along. They're not merging. They're not doing all that stuff. You know. What I mean?
Doesn't that suck? Driving?
I think it's frustrating. I think it's something.
No, that's a law. That's facts.
What did they break when they didn't merge correctly? What law did they break though?
Not that. It's like when you're. Okay, I'm not going to get into like the merging thing. It's kind of like common courtesy, but besides that, it is against the law to not turn your turn signals on when you're fucking getting into another lane.
I agree with that.
It's
part.
illegal to be in the state of Ohio,
Yeah.
and when it's raining and you have your windshield wipers on, you have to have your lights on.
I don't know that.
And
law, but
people
yeah.
don't do that, and it's one of those. And I get passionate about these things because I was brought up that things needed to be done right, and they needed to be done fucking now. And when people don't abide to other laws that I do, because if I acted like an asshole like that, then I feel like the world would be a worse place off. And if everyone acted like an asshole like that, the world would be worse. So,
Right.
like, what gives you the right to act as a person to not abide by that law? Or
Yeah,
so?
and I
and
don't
what I'm
wanna say-
saying
go
by
ahead.
that what I mean by that is the fact that that's not being negative. That's a realistic viewpoint of the actual law.
Well, I know how I would react, and I feel like I know how you'd react when you do the exact opposite. You counteract that illegal activity and just fucking gun it in your car and just fucking peel out and go way above the speed limit, and then I don't think you do that, but there's enough people out there that they'll blast through it and they want to teach a lesson to a stranger, and then like slam on the brakes, brake check them.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, now you're both in the wrong, right?
Yeah, I get that.
The negativity brings out, and I will say that, I think a lot of times negativity will bring out the negativity of yourself.
But what are you like? So, and I
Again, I'm not
struggle.
attacking you.
I know, but I
Yeah.
want to. This is a big topic for me where I struggle with discussing this because I am serious a lot of the time. That's how I brought. Like,
Absolutely.
that's the way that I had success with football. Like,
Right,
I was
right.
serious. I played with emotion, but besides that, when you're talking about something that is the law and what we just said, right? How do you get your point across with someone that you think that needs to be taught with, like, a lesson?
Well, you have to wrap your head around the fact that, like, by doing that is not going to do it. Like, those people, as soon as you leave that situation, they're going to still be that person because you don't have that impact on their life.
But if you care about people, right? And I think that most of us, well, all of us around this table do. What do you do with people like that?
Well, so I mean, for me, it's
because you're involving yourself in a negative portion of that day or in that portion of time, and you did not choose to be in that realm with that person, but you have to deal with what is going on. And how do you figure out to circum that?
I'm not succumbing to anything. I'm saying, like, in a road situation, if someone is driving inappropriately, and I've learned over the years that, you know, I try to actually hold back because, first of all, I care about my car, I care about the safety of myself and others, that I also know that the ignorance of other people will not be taught on the road when I don't have a chance to actually talk to that person and know that person. Because my lead by example is probably for the others around me. The bigger picture is not the person that's driving like a jackass, or, you know, I fucking had that in the Chick-fil-A, like, as I came into the Easton area right here from the gym, and I had that when I was driving behind fucking Honda that had dealer tags on it with windows that were way tinted worse than they should be, and it's fucking night and raining, and I could tell they had no fucking idea how to get where they were going. Where'd they end up? Chick-fil-A park, or the drive-thru, where I was going.
In front of you.
Well, and I was like, I'm not going to get behind them because obviously the way they drive, they can't think for themselves, right? So I did have a little bit of sense about what you're saying, where I'm just like, fuck this. There's no, like, I look at it as now I'm being conservative. So if I think about if I've got precious cargo, whether it be like you, AJ, like say the four of us in the car, and if I was all raged up, and I was like, you know, watch this, man. And then all of a sudden something happens where I like brake check someone or like try to teach them in my mind that I'm going to show them they're still driving the way they did before I came into their life. So at that point, it's like, now I get rear-ended. Now all of a sudden, it's like, I'm at fault because I brake checked for no fucking reason. Now I got a rear bumper and taillights that are broken. Now I got to spend the next hour of my life trying to explain to the cops. I was like, well, I did it because they were like not merging right. And it's like, well, it's not going to, there's a no-win situation.
You know.
So now I back off, and my thing is, and I'll actually go to AJ's point where it's like, when you eliminate negativity from that, the translation for me, or the metaphor that's going into the driving aspect, is that I try to eliminate myself from that situation. I will be reserved, and then I'll also be you, where I'm gonna like fucking get past it and just put them in my rear view.
So that's right. You know I do.
I know you do that, but I'm not gonna say you do things wrong, but for me, it's what I've learned over the years is that I'm going to reserve myself until it's a safe exit, not buzz the tower like Top Gun.
So,
where right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, you're gonna buzz the tower.
Yeah.
And then if something happens wrong, and you actually you skim mirrors and something's wrong, now all of a sudden you're seeing red at the same time. It's like, well, you were the one that did it.
Yeah, but that's not what I see. I see it as like, I know what I'm doing at that instance, and I make educated adjustments.
An educated adjustment is not to fucking blitz the tower.
I mean, have you ever watched Pearl Harbor with the brothers?
Wow.
So you guys both make really, really good points. My biggest thing is almost too simple because you kind of have to dive into it a little bit. Jake, you were super pissed off at drivers today, correct? Like monumentally pissed off. Yes,
no, but it's making me look to be out like an asshole.
No. Full disclosure.
No,
I commented on. So no, full disclosure. We had a three-way text going on. I was in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. I had just experienced that Honda with the dealer tag.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm not going to say who was driving the car because it's going to make me sound real bad because I'm not going to stereotype, but it filled the stereotype sadly in this area. Okay. And then Jake says something, why are people driving like fucking idiots? And I'm like, you know, I don't know what I said. I said I was going to be at the house. I tried to avoid it, and I knew what was going on. Then all of a sudden, Dustin chimed in because there's a three-way text between us, and he even drops the F-bomb. I'm like, nah, it's not Dustin. So I know, and then all of a sudden at 6:30, you show up, Actually, after 6:30, and then these two guys show up.
But what did I say at 6:30? I ran into traffic too.
Yeah, but there's idiot drivers out there. So yeah, we all actually did it, and we're feeling the same thing.
But my thing is this.
And I'm not.
No. Jake is not back.
I'm not picking on him.
Here, we'll go.
He actually lives out right now. He does the things that we want to do. And he is, I will say to this, anyone listening, I've been driving with him. He is a safe driver, and he's a very good driver. He actually reminds me of my friend Big Rob, who I would love to get on the podcast, and Jake as well now. But he's one of the best drivers, so he has a complete control of his car. God. If anyone has...
I'll turn it off.
Hey Siri, turn off. Unplug Siri.
No, okay, so...
The HomePod is a great home speaker if anyone's actually
It's amazing.
for home speakers.
Yes!
So...
Great sound. I'm plug for Apple because Apple needs
Apple, we need shit, man.
Apple needs help, and we need Apple as a sponsor. That'd be amazing.
Daggone it, you gotta
I
explain
got
when
an
you're
iPad
taking
here,
side
got an
notes.
iPhone here, iPhone there, iPhone's taping that.
You gotta-
iPhone over there, we got a MacBook Air.
You gotta explain when you're taking side notes or side trips. What I'm getting at, you were pissed off
Real
at
quick.
drivers. You were pissed off at drivers. You were pissed off at whoever was in front of you in the parking lot.
I was annoyed. I was
But-
pissed off.
But did you both make it back here before we were supposed to start? Did you both make it back here around the 6:30 time frame? So that's focus on that. Yes, there's an idiot driver in front of you. He's swerving. He's doing 45 on 71, which is a 65 or even 70 area. You have to know, you know what? I'm going to get where I'm going to go. As soon as I have the chance to, I'm going to pass this guy and it's going to be gone.
Yeah, that's that
You
red
can't-
light metaphor that
Yeah.
you brought
Yeah,
up.
you
So if you
can't-
guys, I don't know, we gotta look up what episode was it?
17.
17. AJ was on. That was a fucking great conversation.
Greatly appreciate it. But like right there, you had negativity. You had negativity. Dustin, did you deal with some today?
He dropped the F-bomb the first time I think he ever said fuck.
Goodness,
He said, I think that was honestly, I've known Dustin for a while. That was the first time I saw fuck in a text
Goodness.
from Dustin.
So Dustin dealt with negativity too.
He was at 11.
I had to come from Polaris, which is a huge shopping area, to the Easton exit, which is a huge shopping area. I dealt with idiot drivers doing 35, 45 mile an hour, but you know what? I knew I was going to get there. Yeah, sure, I was, 5 minutes late.
Your comment earlier about having a truck because you're bigger than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Push them out of the way.
Such passive aggressive.
Push them out of the way.
Let's talk about one thing first,
All right,
where
go ahead.
the exact definition of negative.
Okay, yeah.
Consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features.
Say it one more time.
Consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features.
Interesting. That's
So
not-
for
Not desirable or optimistic.
So for all of us that dealt with the traffic getting here, it would be the absence of common driving sense.
Correct.
But is that fact or is that an opinion?
I think it's
You tell me. You were the one that was all hyped up. I love the energy you were giving off.
But so
That jacket was tighter when it came in.
That was good
but
stuff.
because
Fucking puffed out.
so this is my argument. When you see a lot of people, especially on social media, that want to be hoopla and swinging arms and yay and everything, and that's great. But here's what I love. I love seeing the people that are real. I love seeing the people like the Andy Frisellas, Mark Bell, the people that are positive most days, and then there's that one day that they talk about some shit and get fucking real,
Right.
and it's yes, that's what you dug your teeth in, and you expressed your, I think, here's one thing about we talked about negativity being a drive, right? I wrote down drive, consuming, outside activities, because that's what you said, Steve, and that's how we've kind of framed this podcast so far.
For sure.
And when you're talking about negativity driving you, it's much like what I did, especially in college with grades and classes, my major, and what I was trying to figure out what I was trying to do with the rest of my life. And when the negativity hits, I think My dad told me one thing, and it stuck for me for the rest of my life, was like, if in football, harness the anger and the emotion.
Okay.
And so that's what I always did with football, and I think that I haven't done the best, and that's not being negative, that's being factual, but I think I haven't done the best with it since I've graduated from school. But I think when you harness, I think anger is such a strong emotion.
It is.
And when you can, if you're someone like me that says it's almost like a passionate feeling, because I'm a very passionate person and boisterous, when you do that and you can change it into a drive and change, misconstrue the emotion into something else, I think it's really, really interesting. Football is a different story other than like your job or a drive to build a business. Like, you
Different
can
how? Because a lot of football players, a lot of athletes actually become very competitive in a good way.
It's good, but I think if you're aggressive, I don't think aggression works well in a business meeting to an extent. And I think when you're someone that is a UFC fighter or a football player or someone that has dealt with like a contact sport, and deals with that, and they move into business, I think it's good, but only if you can harness it, and then it just works. But I
Can I
think,
chime in on the metaphor?
Yeah, but I think that's what we're talking about.
Can I chime in on the metaphor, because I know you. So a lot of times when you come out of your this is a side note, right?
There we go.
So you do the
Real quick.
No, it's not going to be real quick because I like to talk
But
sometimes.
you said side note, so we're
Side
good.
note. But I love the lateral movement in a sense from being an athlete, especially at the elite level you were at, Jake. The elite level. So for those who don't know, AJ, if you weren't listening to episode 17, that you were a collegiate athlete as well in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's what I equate that to business, and I think sometimes it's forgotten because you get to that when you're in high school, right? And you are like the best, and that's why you are now a collegiate athlete. So you went from freshman in high school, went from middle school, and you were good in middle school, and all of a sudden you're the freshman, and you're playing for whatever. You're not playing for the varsity team, and it's an ego just kicking the nuts.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get back to the point where you're like, now I'm fucking king dingling.
Top dog.
Yeah, you're top dog, and you're in high school. Now
Feels
you're
good.
a freshman. Yeah, you're a freshman, right? And you gotta have another ego kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
What people don't, especially I feel like, and I was not at the level you guys were at. I was an athlete growing up, but I was never at the level you guys were at, right? But I can appreciate the fact that from the business side of it, I would absolutely hire, if I had a business, and no matter what it was, if you guys are interested in it, I would hire a couple people, right? I would hire an Eagle Scout, and I would hire a collegiate athlete based on the conversation with that collegiate athlete. And if I could actually tell that collegiate athlete, it's like, hey, you're telling me, like, I asked him a question, how was it? Like, I was captain, I was all this stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, you walk in the door, you're a freshman again. Mm-hmm. You're a freshman again. This is your third round of it, if not more, of you are not king dingling, you are not the top dog, you are the freshman, you are the grunt. So that's where I don't think a lot of companies don't always do that. And you said HR people suck.
They're not real, man.
Well, the real side of it is that, like, you just start a new job, Jay. You're the freshman.
Yeah.
Now, so you can like in business, it's different, and sometimes in sports, it's different, where you can actually progress through that through hard work, and I'm going to show them and all that stuff. But you know your place.
Yeah.
The problem is now you're talking about ages, so it's like now you're early 20s, and it's like, hey man, I've already done this a couple times. Like, get out of my face with this. I see what you're doing wrong. I can tell you what I can help you out with. But it's a natural progression that I think is missed on a lot of people, and this is a side note. The natural progression that is missed on a lot of people that are in a competitive sport or organization, they walk out of it as the king dingling, and they walk into something that is actually established already. That's where the mistakes are made. you have to prove yourself again, and that's where you do that. Relationships are much the same way. You start a new relationship, you know what you didn't like from the last one. You know, you grew up in a family, but in a personal relationship, you don't want certain things and you don't want to feel a certain way, but you do want that positivity, so you're trying to skirt that negativity. Truth be told, though, you're starting fucking over. So now you have to actually start over and realize that in yourself, because I feel like that's the big miss there in business and personal relationships, that you try to project your past as opposed, like, in a sense of like, I already know what I want and I already know who I am, but at the same time, you're the FNG. You're the fucking new guy. This is something that you don't.
I've never heard that.
In your
before,
defense,
ever.
I have heard that term.
I've never heard that.
Well, going back to it, I don't think Mark's still on there, and it re-entered my life, because we used to say that in the moving industry. If you're a new guy and you have that clout, you're a collegiate athlete. You're whatever it is, whether it's warranted or not, you feel like you're a badass. You walk into my truck, you're the fucking new guy.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is a ego driving and balancing act, where it's like, you still have to prove yourself because I've never fucking met you before. But so that's where it's like, you do that, and it's just a matter of time that you keep that whole mindset of, I did this before, I'm gonna do it again. I did it on this team, and I think, you know, look at pro sports, same thing. It's like, you can have a resume, but the drama in locker rooms, if you come in and you're still the new guy.
Right.
You don't own that organization. You know your place. Know your fucking role.
I agree.
That's where I think that sometimes that'll breed that negativity, when in fact you should actually roll with that and take that as, all right, I gotta do this again, personal challenge. I'm gonna prove to them that I got their back, and they will have my back because I do this.
So I'm actually super excited that you related on your side note, your quick one, side note, you related it back to sports, because I for a while, up until probably 2-3 months, up until just now, when you mentioned that, it triggered something for me. And like you said, I played baseball.
Yeah.
A 300 batting average in baseball is phenomenal. You had a great career.
But 3 out of 10.
Exactly. That means seven. That means 7 times you failed.
Do that in sales, you're fired.
I agree. You know, different things have different percentages and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But
it's all relative.
But, you know, let's say you, obviously you can't tell the future, but let's say, you know, you have 10 at-bats. Your first 7 at-bats, you strike out or you get out or whatever. Are you going to quit baseball right then and there? Are you going to quit the team? Jake, what position did you play in football?
I was a linebacker, and then I was a nose tackle.
Okay.
You also were a fullback,
did
right?
you?
I was a fullback, yeah.
Okay, well, let's stick with the defensive side. Have you ever missed a tackle?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. That's not negative.
He's not happy about it,
Right,
but like
right,
every
right.
one that he missed, no, you always
Right,
have
but
that.
at the time, that is 100% negative.
I also tried to play baseball, too.
Yeah, I bet you were a long ball hitter. Lot of
I was.
He was trying to fucking crush it.
Oh, yeah.
The week before our first game, I broke my ankle, and I was like, yep, that was a sign, I'm done.
But anyways, so you missed a tackle in the game.
Yeah.
Are you done? Coach, take me out. It's the first quarter. You missed 2 tackles. Coach, take me out. I'm worthless. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You trained your mind in football that as soon as you miss that tackle, by God, that next play, you're going to smoke that running back twice as hard.
What are you gonna do next time?
Exactly.
You're gonna make that tackle.
Exactly.
You want to know a great metaphor? Well, it's not necessarily a metaphor, but kind of an example is that, you know, when I was still at old school and like with the 4M crew, like a lot of those guys didn't play college
Explain
sports.
that to a couple people that haven't
So,
listened.
yeah, you're Jim.
We've got a lot of new listeners.
So old school is kind of like a hardcore gym. It's rated in the number 10, like top 10, like hardcore gyms in America.
I want to visit.
It's a great gym, but the guy, they have a 4 a.m. crew, which goes in with Corey Gregory, which is a old good friend of mine.
Phenomenal dude.
Still is a good guy. One of those guys that is always positive. But to be completely honest and be realistic, like we had a falling out, and that's fine. But anyways, we'd go in and we'd have a 4 a.m. crew. We'd work out at 4 a.m. every day, and that's like his philosophy of life. And he's brought it around the world and created that atmosphere. And what I would tell people that, like the guys that would come in and want to be a part of the crew, and like some people would travel like an hour and a half in the morning just to train every day.
Wake up at 2 a.m.
Every day.
We got a guy that listens to the podcast, Nick Ulrich.
Yeah.
That actually was in town
Yeah.
so he was linked up through Jake, through all that, the shared communities that we talk about, circles.
Yeah.
How the things expand. He came into the shop because he started listening to the podcast. He knew Jake. He wanted to come in and work out at old school gym,
Yeah.
all that stuff. He wanted to actually talk to Jake and I in the shop about Bourbon BS podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's a good guy. He's a very good
Nick,
guy. He's
listen,
a trainer.
I think he was on earlier tonight.
He's a trainer in Northern Ohio.
Dude's a stud.
He's a great dude. And anyways, so what I would tell these guys is what I've noticed about the gym atmosphere. It's interesting because, and again, this is a negative. It's a factual statement. I feel where it's one of those things where it can almost become cult-like, right? And it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes to a point where there's people out there that they need a culture in their life. And in the gym, I think in a modern day age, as of now, is the gym. I think the gym is a culture. I think it's a lifestyle that breeds people, and
it's an outlet.
And it's an outlet for a lot of people, and it's a good thing, right? It's health, right? But anyways, so with old school, I would go there, and a lot of those guys, like framing the conversation, were those guys where they were looking for a group, an atmosphere, a place to call home. They never experienced collegiate level athletics. They never experienced even high school athletics, and that's fine. What I'm saying is there's a different measure of knowledge that comes from experiencing that, and there's a different level of experiencing that. And these guys, I would tell them when they would lift, they wouldn't understand how I could be happy-go-lucky and laughing as soon as I got out from under a bar, right? When I was squatting, benching, whatever it was, whatever the exercise was. Because that's kind of unheard of. Like lifting is an aggression. Mm-hmm. It's an emotion. If you want to get anything done, it's a powerful stance. And it's a powerful emotion. And much like football, where when the whistle gets blown, right? You can't just go hit somebody, right? Or with baseball, you can't just go run a base or knock a ball off. No, you got to wait till the whistle blows, and then you find that anger and I say anger because that's just what I resonate with, because it's a powerful emotion. I resonate with
a very powerful.
I resonate with power. I always have. But anyways, what I would tell these guys is that when they would ask me, how are you so happy-go-lucky when you get out from under the bar? Or how can you smile and then get under the bar and completely change? It's like a light switch, right? And what I would say is it's controlled aggression. It's controlled insanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you harness the power.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people do that, and myself included. I need to harness that with business and in making money in life, right, in my job. And I think I can do that with sales, and I think that's why I've gone towards that route. But these people, the guys would kind of stand back in awe, well, that completely makes sense now.
Yeah.
Where if you can, It's like the old Drake song, like you like 0 to 100 real quick. You know
Yeah,
what I mean,
absolutely.
Like that's the exact emotion, and once you can harness it, I think you're truly unstoppable. Where, you know, I would play. We had Josh Link on from Visionary Meals
Okay.
a couple episodes ago.
Good meals.
I had someone reach
Good
out to me
meals.
recently that actually asked about them.
Josh is a great guy.
I would love for him to, like, Josh, if you listen to this, I'd love for you to start delivering to, if you've worked it out, share with us that you've worked out, you're delivering to Columbus.
I'd buy some.
Because I had someone that actually reached out to me and asked what was that? You know, it's one of those, like, you know, circle friends that were like, hey, you had someone on the podcast a while back about, you know, they do delivery service of meals. Yeah. What was the name of the company? I said what it was, but I don't think they delivered to Columbus zip codes. And she said,
very new.
Yeah, but she said, I go to a gym. This is actually my Max, right? So, like, this is Candy actually saying that. She's like, I have someone at our gym that's delivering, and I was hoping it was him because I want to support people in our shared circles, right? It will be that guy soon. Go on.
Yeah, but so what I was saying was, so Josh and I went to literally rivalry schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things in college. He went to Wittenberg, I went to Ohio Wesleyan. And it was one of those things where we both played, special teams, right? Because we both played defense, so we never really played each other, but we were always on the sidelines, like talking shit to each other and stuff like that. But there was one time where we met in college on the field, and we like fucking knocked each other for a loop. And it's one of those, you talk about like camaraderie, and it goes the same thing with like negativity and positivity. If you think of it as a camaraderie standpoint, we would get back up and we'd be like, all right, man, good hit. That was really good.
Because it's a game. It's a sport.
But you're like, yeah, I got you.
Respect.
Right.
It's respect.
It's respect. So it's like
you smoked it.
Yeah, so like we're talking about like drive. You know, and he smoked me, but like we're talking about drive with negativity. I think when you can harness the I've always substituted anger and negativity for passion. And
you relate it, not substitute. You think it's substitute?
I think it's substitute because it resonates in my mind.
Okay.
Because if I say it's related, then I say it's negativity or...
So say that again. Say it again.
I'm saying if you're driving, if you're using negativity to drive, I substitute it for passion.
So what you're getting at? Go ahead.
I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
So you're a passionate person, you know that, right? Like a lot of people are out there listening. So do you seek that then?
No.
So what else do you equate or substitute for passion?
Well, it's like the hobbies. It's like we're talking about the cigars and the whiskey, and that's very. I don't want to say it's minuscule because it means a lot to me, but I think to a lot of people it's minuscule. But like when I'm like trying to get like Steve to taste notes, or like whoever our guest is to taste notes, or when he says like something like I taste the corn, it tastes like Fritos. Yeah. I'm like, it like excites me. Like I get a fire in my belly and I don't know why.
There's a relation there.
It comes out of a, I think if I would diagnose it, it comes out of a, not a negative, but it comes out of a differentiating relationship between the two of us.
Yeah.
And then I resonate with it, and it's like, yes, like, it's not because you relate to me, it's because I find, like,
you relate to me. You relate to me.
I see what you're saying because, like, you get it now. You know what I mean? So
go on, AJ.
I've been dying to say it because I know I feel like, anyways, I know exactly what you're talking about. So here's my plug. 2 of my most inspirational, motivated people that I follow: Andy Frisella, David Goggins.
I don't know David Goggins, but I love Andy Frisella.
David Goggins has an absolutely incredible story. Everyone should check him out. But what they get to is they talk about dealing from the dark side. And basically taking that negativity, taking that anger, taking that frustration, and flipping it and turning it into something productive.
I think the most powerful people in the world have had the worst experiences in life.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this right now, and this is the metaphor not metaphor, I guess. This is the statement I've been wanting to make is you cannot, and this is anything. This is the opposite, polar opposites of anything. I truly believe that you cannot appreciate happiness if you don't understand or appreciate, more importantly, appreciate sadness.
Agreed.
And the same thing with negativity and positivity. Those are polar opposites. That people will say, like, you know, what's the opposite of white?
Black.
Right. Bullshit. I mean, it is, because when you talk about like light and all everything else.
Because it's the absence of light.
Yeah.
Which is what we were talking about being negative.
So you
it's the absence
of positivity.
But there's plenty of people that will argue that. Mm-hmm. You know, but when you say what's the opposite of blue, you don't know.
Yeah, but blue is construed as a blues down.
Blue can be
color.
Negative. Blue can be positive, right? So it's like
blue is also known as a royal color, though.
Royal color. Right? No, I'm saying I'm saying there's subjectivity to that.
Yeah.
So with negativity, we're talking about negativity, and I look at that and I say I actually appreciate negativity because we've all been there. Everyone's been there. But in my mind, you talk about focus. That was my big thing.
Yeah,
right? You know, so focus
is your big thing.
It is my big thing. That was founded like a lot of positive sides of things. Like when you talk about mantras, you talk about businesses. Anyone that is successful in businesses, they will talk about failures. So when you talk about success, these are people that have been successful. Truly successful, not just people that have this successful mindset, and if everything went their way, God bless them. Good for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a failure at some point, right? Or you've been cheating the system so that everything's a success.
Right.
And you're very smart, and I applaud you for doing that because you're working the system. I have no problem with that. You take me for money, or you take me, my people that are close to me, I got a problem with you. But if you're just rolling with the system, you learned it, you did it, and everything else, you're fine. However, if you don't appreciate failure, we talk about this a lot. If you don't talk about failure, you don't appreciate it, you will not appreciate success.
Dude, that was straight off of 60 Seconds, man. It's Nicolas Cage. You can't appreciate the reward without the failure.
I wasn't quoting that, but
dude,
yeah.
He literally says that.
It was dead on.
It's absolutely, so that's where we're talking about positivity and negativity. Our focus is negativity. I actually, so with the focus side of it, AJ, when you bring that up, and apparently it has, I've heard over the years that it has affected people. They aren't the millions of people that like Andy Frisella has gained this with his success. He's multi-million-dollar whatever businesses. But when you go into it on everyday life, people that you look towards on your social media feed, which is the age we're in, or you go into the cigar shop, or you have coffee with a friend, you do these things, and if they're in a negative aspect and they're in a negative mindset, they're in that window of just, they are in that quicksand, right? They have the situation. We talked about it since day one. The greatest thing is, in metaphor that I think that is a resounding thing, is that hand in your face or bringing it out.
Yeah.
That hand in your face, and that's one thing that I think this is negativity when I was thinking about the topic, is when I look at AJ, when I look at you, and on surface level, and I think maybe people will actually relate to this. AJ,
they should.
Well, listen, AJ's a positive person. Jake, you self-diagnose you as I don't want to sound negative, but you feel that way. So you got a negative, or you have a negative. Jake has a negative outlook on life to some people.
A lot of people. I feel like I have a realistic view.
But AJ has that resounding positive outlook. For me, the way that I've framed my life is that a lot of my positive outlook that people actually, that I project out there, after all the things that have happened in my life, I have projected the positive and learned from the negative. I actually, surprisingly to several people, probably a lot of people, I at times have a very negative outlook on a lot of things. But I have that mentality of you can't appreciate the positivity unless you appreciate the negativity. And that's when we talked about this topic, and I shouted out to you guys, and I was like, hey, we got AJ on there to Jake, and I was talking to you, and I said
Jake
negativity.
said, oh, shit.
No, he actually was like, no, he's like, I like it. When I said it to you, the most positive person that I know, you're just like, I love it.
Yeah,
like,
let's
well,
do
fuck, it. Of course you love it, because you're positive as shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course you love it. Like, fuck you. But like that's where it's like you look at the negativity side of things, and I truly think that you must, the most successful people, the most happy people, the happiest people in life, whether it be personal relationships or professional endeavors, they have experienced the other side of it.
Yeah.
So when you look at polar opposites, you cannot, and I firmly believe this, and anyone that's had all positive growing up experiences, business, personal relationship, they will sadly experience negativity at some point.
Yeah.
People don't know how to handle negativity, and that's where when I introduced this topic as something for the table, is that negativity is not always a bad thing. If you drown yourself in it, like you said, Jake, if you drown yourself and you get in that quicksand and that's all you dive into the rabbit hole, you have to get yourself out, or to AJ's point, you surround yourself with good people. Somehow get out of it, but never forget where you never forget what you experienced.
Yeah. Well, in the day and age that we're in right now, you can get consumed by it, and I think that's what we were talking about at the very beginning. And I think it's one of those things that everyone has to realize in life, that it's going to happen, but it's one of those things that you can't think about it all the time, and you have to be able to control what you can control and then react.
This is why, so for example, like, and I know we have lost, and for those of you listening, whether you're listening to the recording, I want to be transparent right now. We have lost several live viewers because it's getting late on a Wednesday night and it's dreary in Ohio. It's 10 o'clock. I get that. But what I will say is that as you get to the point of looking at positivity, you know, when things are going well, what I really love about negativity, which is a weird thing to say, is that you are that devil's advocate. You are that person to yourself that everything's going well, but you actually present that good situation, and you are your own devil's advocate, that you look at it where you're, all right, so you're going to look at everything that might go wrong. And a lot of people are like, you're fucking crazy. Like, don't do that. Like, things are going well, you know what I mean? It's not waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's literally like, I got to look at everything. I'm being proactive because I appreciate the negativity. I appreciate the negative aspects or the potential going forward.
Right.
And right now in my life, you know, I look at the smoking tent event. I look at the buying a house. I look at my relationship, positive relationship. Buying a house, positive. Smoking tent event, it's on the fence.
Positive because there's the chance.
But I'm working on the negatives. I'm still striving for that.
I agree.
Well, I'm doing the best I can. Looking at buying a house, right? It's all positive, but at the same time, I'm also looking at it like, I don't want to fucking paint. I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend the money on this. But it's like, I'm looking at all that stuff because I'm looking at the negative. I appreciate the negative, and I also realize in a year from now, if I don't handle this from all aspects, I will be miserable. I will be in that quicksand. I will be in the negative side of it. But I'm going to head on, hit it up, that I'm going to appreciate the fact that these are the negatives, and now I've got to dissect each one of those, and I'm going to get to that.
So it sounds to me like the gist of what all three of us are talking about is no matter what, you're in life. No matter what, you're going to have negatives.
Hang on. Jake's writing closing remarks when he does that. I appreciate that. This is the first one I'm going to do in two phases.
All right.
I saved it on the podcast. We're gonna save this in 2 phases.
Yeah, I mean my gist
Is that cool?
that I'm wrapping up with is that you have to have, you're in life, no matter what, you're going to have negatives and you're going to have positives. The gist that all of us are getting at is that you have to have negatives in order to appreciate the positives.
You're absolutely right.
And it is absolutely 100% acceptable to operate from the dark side, from the negatives. It's completely okay to use that negative and that anger and that frustration to drive you forward. Nowadays I always tie everything back into the coffee industry. Getting, emails slammed in my face, doors slammed in my face, whatever, that happens weekly. People saying, no thanks, we have someone. People saying, we're not really looking for that, or wrong price point, or whatever. But I try to use that and utilize it, just how Jake was talking about. Utilize that going forward. Figure out how to turn it into fuel and use that to seal the deal on another coffee shop. Use that to seal the deal on a new account with a brewery. Use that negativity, like you were saying, to move forward. My thing is keep moving forward.
Let me get real personal real quick. Right?
Let's do it.
Business. So, do you follow Fido Irish Pub?
Yes.
All right. So do you know that there is an Irish coffee day coming up?
Heard about it, haven't looked into it too awful much.
So that's a mistake. That's a mistake. So when you appreciate the positive and negative, right? So there was a point. I love Fido Irish Pub. Obviously, I'm not invested with a monetary value, but I look at it where it's like I was drinking the coffee like every weekend, right? Mm-hmm. I started tasting it. Like, this is a little weird, right? And I'm tied into it, and they realized they're now looking at cost-effective side of things. Mm-hmm. Like they went in for a local. They wanted to bless you.
Excuse me.
They wanted to actually dive into a local industry, but then they realized that it's not as cost-effective, right?
Right.
So now you're looking at where it's where you suggest as a professional. Mm-hmm. When was the last time you guys were in there?
It just deliveries.
Right. So there's always the negative side of your
mm-hmm.
industry is that it's diluted. It's all that. They look at the price. So when I look at this, and then all of a sudden they're talking about an Irish coffee, which they supply Jennings Java coffee,
right?
That's going to deliver this absolute over-the-top flavor. Mm-hmm. You add whiskey to that, get the fuck out of here. That's amazing, right? You guys are delivering to an Irish pub. When was the last time you drank Jennings Java with Irish whiskey?
It would have been at the Irish pub, but it would have been probably 2 months ago.
So when you're harnessing that, you either lose the contract and they're like, hey, we can't afford you anymore because mm-hmm. we're trying to do this, we're trying to make our price points, or you stay involved. And that's where I actually look at the whole thing with appreciating the negativity to appreciate the positivity. When you actually dive into what are the negatives, and that's business, right? So for those of you that are listening out there that they're in business, they're doing this, that's a constant thing. Once you make the sale, you stay active. Once you are in a relationship, you stay active. What are you doing? What are you doing? When you get into these relationships, business or like professional or personal, when you get in those relationships, if you're just trying to get your foot in the door and you make the sale, and then you just let off the gas, you're negative again.
You gotta maintain it.
You gotta stay active.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Negativity was the subject tonight, and if you stay active, that's my whole thing. When you are feeling negative, when you are feeling beat up, you stay active. You drive yourself. You dig yourself out of the hole. That's where the focus thing came out of. That's where it's you, AJ, are always positive, and again, Jake.
Realistic.
Well, he's realistic, but he's the one that is the first to say that people think I'm negative. Well, you're not a Debbie Downer. You are realistic, but it's staying active. Whether you are in the positive mindset or the negative mindset, you stay active. So it's like when you have made a choice. So my encouragement to you, AJ, when you are doing these business decisions and you are making these sales, once the sale is made, it's not comfortable. And that's where it is with life too. When you're in that mode of negativity and you start making progress out of it, right? You start changing it. You start embracing negativity to encourage positivity. As soon as you make those steps, you absolutely cater to those steps. You keep going back. You actually finesse those. You massage those steps so that you don't ever get back into that. It is a 100% active role in your life, whether it be personal relationships or professional relationships, that you need to go in there. And for you, AJ, again, I don't think anything's going wrong, but when was the last time that you, like, so the BS thing is the same thing.
Yeah.
I sell a BS to you, gold, whatever, no big deal. And then you come back in and you're like, yeah, it's plugged. And I'm like, all right, well, you must got a bad one. Let me give you another one. Plugged. I lost you as a customer.
Yeah.
Got to stay active.
Right.
So you sell all this. How many contracts do you have now? And the negative in the mindset of this podcast is that you're digging yourself out. You're trying to sell yourself. Like, I'm the new guy.
Right.
We talked about it with football. We talked about it with a lot of things.
Yeah.
You get yourself in there. So when was the last time you ordered a coffee from Fido?
Would have been the last time I was in there, but
And I'm not trying to pinpoint Fido.
No.
Any contract
it makes
from a
sense because
business.
it's personal, yeah.
So you and Daniel, you make a contract.
Right.
You get it all set up.
Yep.
What's the follow up? Same thing with personal relationships. You get out of that, and all of a sudden, like, things are going so well.
Dude, I think follow-ups are huge when you're
You
talking
take
about
things
that.
for fucking granted. Is my
It's
point.
huge. It's
That's
absolutely
it.
huge.
And
To
taking them
Jake's
for
point,
granted is the negativity.
No, it's about it's not about taking things for granted. It's about being comfortable. Where you, like, to Steve's point, like, if you have a gig, you're not thinking about the next step. Like, you're building a brand, you're excited about it, that's great, and you think you've already hit that next step. And to be, we're talking about negativity, but to be like the white of the subject, where you want to be positive and to move on, right? That's the positive of the subject, where you need to be thinking every time you go in there, you need to create a different contact. You need to
Meet the people.
You need to meet the people. You need to sit in there. It's the same thing as, like, that's why I've been so adamant about, like, getting shirts done for the podcast. Because if like I'm not in the best shape right now, but Steve is, and I'll get there.
No.
But if we're wearing our Bourbon and BS podcast, you don't know how many questions Steve and I get when we work on Tuesdays. Well, so, like, obviously, like, you guys work out, like, what's the recipe? And we say whiskey and cigars. Dude,
I was one of those questions.
Bourbon and BS podcast.
You
That's
follow
what
suit.
that's what ties that all together.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with you. And like, as we were talking about this, that's exactly what I was writing down. Like, when I've noticed, as we're doing, like, the social media together, as we're doing, like, I just made a Twitter page for Bourbon and BS podcast. So go out there. It's capital B Bourbon _BS, but it's on Twitter. Go follow us, and I want to make it, like, more of a shenanigans style, like, funny.
Yeah.
Because it's Twitter. But anyways, welcome.
What's up, Ray?
Welcome, Ray. Thank you, and thank you for the Willet, right?
No.
No?
Ray didn't get that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what you're talking about. Sorry. Anyways, I was thinking, like, as you guys were talking about, like, building a brand, like, when we're doing the postings for, like, Bourbon and BS,
Look.
when we're talking about, like, the different strategies on how to do the t-shirts, talking about, like, how to build, like, what we're doing, it's very easy with a new brand and something that you're passionate about to say, no, I don't want to do that. It's very, very easy to say, that's not going to work. When in actual reality, if you just fucking do it, it will either show you something which will end up being a positive, or at the least it will show you something that you need to work on that is the negative, right? Yin and yang. And like I wrote down like, you know, like negatives of like the podcast, like insecurity, like thinking of like how we post, like I'm just like scribbling, but
I love it.
Thinking of like how we post,
genius ideas right there.
Thinking of how we post and like what will
creating content.
Yeah, but like when you're talking about like creating content, a lot of people dumb themselves down initially because they don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it completely revolves around the fact that the presence in itself is what social media is. If you have a presence, if you're adding value. Because a lot of people just say like a few words and they think that the simplicity is like a fucking marketing tool. You know, like Leo, we had Leo on last week and he was talking about simplicity of like brands. He's a very successful man. I completely disagree with the simplicity of things.
And you're still friends.
Yeah, because, but that's not the point. The simplicity of the point is that when you do simplicity about posts and stuff about social media, you're not adding value. You're just saying shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything we talk about on the podcast is possibly negated. Because no. There's a lot of people that take a lot away from it, right? So like so the fundamental things when you actually are learning something from other people are there's an education, studying, right? Be an expert. We've self-diagnosed us as non-experts on what we're talking about. However, in the cigar industry, the whiskey industry, when you're doing reviews, are they experts or are they just tenured? When you read a review online, what certification do they have?
You're right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They smoke a lot, they drink a lot, and they are borderline pretentious.
What I was adding to the fact is that, like Steve mentioned, like staying active. That was the whole point that I was driving towards, is the fact that when you start thinking of the insecurities, thinking of like what you should post, and then you think because just you need to post that it should be something that is simple. No, if you're not adding value, then it means nothing. And it's the same thing with like coffee and the existence of you and the Fido's relationship. As long as you are inactive, it leads to inactivity.
I like that.
That's amazing.
And then as soon as someone, this is the problem I see a lot with myself and like people that want to indulge in their passions along social media lines and building their own brand, where I think about all the insecurities and then I don't post. I don't post about the Bourbon MBS podcast. I don't add value, and then it gets forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
That is inactivity in a nutshell.
So that's marketing in a nutshell. That's if you're not present, you are no longer present.
Right.
It sounds stupid to say that, but that's exactly what's going on.
But it's gray lines, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, and then as soon as you're active, what I'm saying is, I heard a quote a long time ago from a girl that's she's part of the 4M crew. She's a very nice woman. Her name's Kelsey Linsman.
She's a nice lady.
She's awesome. She's awesome. She goes to OSU. She's a great trainer. Fit is all I'll get out. And she said something along the lines in a post, right? As soon as you show your passion, your worth, and your value, then the following will come. So what that means for those that are insecure about building their brand, insecure about talking to people, that don't want to tell their opinion, they get down on themselves, they're down the rabbit hole. This is why I get so passionate. This is why I get so boisterous.
Why?
This is why I get so
What
loud.
What is it? What is it?
Because this is my passion. The Bourbon MBS podcast is my passion. I want to make money at this someday because that will make us thrive. But beyond that, beyond the money, beyond the sponsorships, I love this stuff. I love the whiskey. I love learning from Steve about the cigars. I love talking about cigars and whiskey and talking about different ways that it can change. And that is it.
Can I build off of that?
Yeah.
I love learning from you, and I love the fact that you learn from me. I mean, talk about the whiskey and cigars. You got guys like AJ. This is the thing where you get into whiskey and cigars. We have a third point of view or a fourth point of view. Now all of a sudden you introduce these people. When we get down to this, and that's where I sadly, and I'm going to be honest, like sadly, I love, honestly, the boost of viewers while we're doing that. And I know we do a long podcast. That's where I actually
It is
cut,
long,
I cut it off. I cut it off at a certain time where we can actually experiment with this, right? I'll cut this off on. So Facebook Live and Facebook will have the full video, but like YouTube, I'm gonna cut it off on the video and the audio, and we'll figure it out. But when we get down to the brass tacks, when we get down to real life, when we get down to the fact that why I'm not gonna speak for anyone that's listening out there, why we smoke and drink, we enjoy the smokes, right? We enjoy the flavors, we enjoy that, we enjoy getting out and doing that. You can't do it anymore in your home. This is not just like you're a guy that smokes cigars and you're in a relationship and the girl likes that. Or on the flip side of that, because I know it's out there, the guy appreciates, he smokes cigars, the girl smokes cigars, all right, whatever, like, you know, we'll introduce that into our home. Not a thing anymore.
Nope.
Sorry, not a thing anymore.
Nope.
Drinking, negative connotation. We talk about that. Negativity. You drink till you're drunk, whatever. You drink too much whiskey, you drink too much beer, you drink too much tequila, rum, what else you got? Tequila, whatever.
From the factual standpoint,
No.
that's a point to be made.
The fact of the matter is I know someone that drank coffee fucking 2 pots a day that in his 40s he passed away. Fucking heart exploded. He was overweight. Nothing contributed to that. But when we're actually talking about all this stuff, is that when you get into it, it's about, we talk about balance. This is where we're at.
Yeah.
Everyone that's listening right now, we need to throw out whether you actually, I got something for you. But no, when we get to it and we actually promote this, is that we need to get to the point where we have a bonus cigar at the end of the podcast. So whether you scan forward, whether you listen to the podcast or scanning forward, we go a long way. We're over 3 hours right now. And AJ wanted that because he's a fucking ass.
Well, he's talking.
No, well, what
You're a
it is,
talker.
We've got good content.
You're a handsome talker.
Hey, thank you. I got.
So for those
for
listening,
radio.
so yeah, I hear that all the time. So for those that are listening
You're
on the podcast, those listening on the audio, check us out on Facebook, check us out on YouTube. You can see the coffee biting. All right, stop.
The blonde beard. You're the first person I know that has like a blonde big
epic.
beard.
It's
man.
epic.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Thank you.
Cause
So-
I can't do that.
I gotta be honest. All right, so for those that are listening on the podcast, on the Facebook Live, on the YouTube, what is so amazing when I brought up this topic of negativity is I already said it, and I'm gonna say this again, about where focus came from. I felt beat up. I went to the gym. I was going to create that. I was going to create me again. I was self-driven. Where this podcast came from, we're 51 weeks into it. Where Whiskey Wednesday started was all positivity. But when Whiskey Wednesday was actually getting developed, and Jake and I and AJ and Dustin and anyone else that was coming around, but I guarantee you that Whiskey Wednesday could start off positive, but 9 times out of 10, one of us was struggling.
Absolutely.
One of us was negative. That's the whole culture of the cigar industry, the bourbon industry, the coffee industry, anything. You can go full-blown passion, right? Like, oh yeah. It's a fucking hobby because you're trying to fucking fill your life with a hobby. So you can accept that or you won't, whatever you want to do. But when it comes down to this garage, which will transfer over to the other garage, right? Like this is gonna happen in the next month. No, it will.
I know.
And it won't be as pretty.
Steve's buying a new house, people.
It won't be as pretty behind it. But
Steve's buying a new house.
What I'm saying is that the culture is why you go into a cigar shop.
Absolutely.
The culture is why you go into a bar. These are the two industries that we are related to with cigars and whiskey.
Yeah.
Coffee is the same way. Why do you buy coffee? Because you buy for people you fucking like.
Exactly. It's culture.
Right. But my point is that there's always, it's my closing remarks, Jake.
Yeah. I'm here.
My closing remarks is that the negativity in my life brought me into the cigar culture. I will say it to the end of my life. And I know a lot of guys and girls that they introduce themselves more and more because they were struggling. That's the negativity, struggle. And when you look at them a couple years later, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter what time frame is, they actually have built themselves up because the community.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. And that was AJ's point way early on. We're talking like 2 hours ago. Honestly.
Yeah.
You surround yourself with good people.
But
what you didn't include is when you have personal relationships with people. I encourage anyone going through a negative time, if you smoke cigars because you listen to the Bourbon BS podcast or you drink whiskey, don't go in a random bar. Don't try to identify yourself. Actually go in there with reservations. Hold back.
Mm-hmm.
See if that's where you want to be. And if you do that, all of a sudden what you will find is that you have a new community. You have a new building block. That whatever you're going through, if you call 10 people, 6 out of 10 people have been through that. Of those 6 people, they've gone this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
Some have made it through it and they're happy. Some have not made it through it and they're happy. And there's also people that are still dealing with it. Learn from those people.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from the negativity. Learn from those tough situations. That's why I love this subject tonight, is that negativity is actually appreciating that bad, that just bottom.
yeah.
Because it's not over and you're gonna build up.
Exactly. So my personal closing remarks actually have.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
I've done it.
I appreciate that. And you are a prime.
What?
No, I've built up from that.
Oh, I was gonna say you're a prime example.
No,
See,
and
I knew
know
what you were getting
You
at.
know, and you
I
know.
was really confused.
You already realize that, but you already take it for granted because you've lived with me every day, in a sense. AJ has seen that.
Yeah.
That he knows that I hit rock bottom.
Yeah. So
he came in late.
yeah.
With an open mind.
Yeah. And so my closing remarks have actually shifted from my opening remarks. My closing remarks, again, I'm so thankful for myself, Jake, Steve, Dustin, everyone that I surround myself with, having different outlooks. My closing remarks are that you are going to have negative in life, you are going to have positive in life. You have two options from that standpoint. Use the negative to fuel you and drive your passion, or do what I do and focus on the positivity, both of which are going to get you out of the rabbit hole.
Roll forward.
Jake, take us home.
He's flipping back.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, we talked about a few things this evening, and it's been a great podcast. Thank you, AJ, for being on for the second time. If you want to go back and listen to Staying Positive and Staying Driven in episode 17, please go back through Spotify, iTunes, and even through our Facebook account and go watch that. That was a great conversation. We talked about negativity tonight. So with the driving, the consuming, and the outside activities that can consume you through that. But I think what it comes down to is the fact of encompassing all those and allowing yourself to see the light through the darkness. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Thank you Tinder Box at Easton for providing the Florida sun-grown cigar through Drew Estate.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing cigar. The Robusto, you can get 15% off when you go to the Tinder Box at Easton within the next week or so up until Tuesday evening that Steve and I are on there.
Ryan Altadis said in their Willet bottle, he said, "Pour up, Steve. I have another Willet ready for you in the bullpen."
So we got two more coming.
No, we're not fucking killing. Ryan, if you're still listening, that's not how we do it. We want to, but we're not doing it.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. But you got two more coming.
Good job.
Yeah. And James Java, thank you, AJ, again. And what was your partner's name? I apologize.
Daniel,
15%
off. Contact me or Jennings Java directly.
That's huge.
From Wednesday to next Wednesday.
Wow.
And we're going to take care of you.
Very, very good.
Romeo
by Romeo. Thank you, Altadis, our big sponsor of the evening. Romeo by Romeo, St.
AJ
Andreas.
blends amazing cigars.
Yes, very, very good cigars.
And thank you, Altadis, for believing us from the beginning. This is this is the beginning of a great relationship.
It is.
We already have year 2 on the books.
Yes, we do. Keep a lookout for the shirts. We're going to start doing some pre-orders within the next couple weeks. We finalized our logo, finalized our saying.
AJ, I'm not
Our
paying for
quote.
AJ, I'm not paying for that whiskey bottle. You're giving that to me. I'm going to give you 2 shirts.
We finalized
It's
our
$20 a piece.
quote on the front, and as soon as you see it,
I'll
you
talk to you
understand. You understand it is exactly what we represent. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Willet, for making an amazing product with the Willet Pot Still Reserve.
Are you starting BS here soon?
And the BS Cigar Company. Brian and Steve, thank you for making an amazing cigar. I don't have a gold, but there's a gold.
I had a gold for you.
There's a couple golds sitting around the table here. Happy Whiskey Wednesday, episode 51.
Next week is a year.
Next week is a year. We'll have Dustin on. Tune in. Cheers.